I was gonna get the ones that you had at first, but then I seen these and I'm like, no, I'm getting no.
You did right.
Hey, all praise. Hey, hey, and got them at a discount. Got them, I think we paid like $30 for them too. Cause you know they going out of business. Huh? The one over there on Orlando. Yeah, you know they all the places are going out of business.
Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom.
Today we're going to get into the Feast of Purim. Shabbat shalom to the worldwide audience. We're going to read the book of Esther. We're going to attempt to do the whole thing. Including those in the Apocrypha.
That's what's up.
17 chapters and all. I think we can get it in. Sometimes you got to teach the milk because a lot of people don't know why we do some of the things we do.
Yes, sir.
Like with the Day of Atonement, I did 3 of them before I got it right. I first started because they wasn't teaching it. It was just on me to find it, and I wasn't really up on the studying like I should have been. Exactly. Once I got it right. We're going to touch on this a little bit. And we're going to get this prayer in. Let's pray according to the scriptures, not according to man.
Right, 1 Kings 8:2, chapter 6, or Chronicles 6th chapter, tell us to face the east, so we're not praying toward a rock. We're praying back toward the Holy Land, so our prayers be heard. Daniel 6th chapter, verse 10, tells us we should pray 3 times a day. But everybody down here is pretty much family, so we know the whole drill. And you need to go through it all again. We're going to get this.
That could be another class.
No doubt. We'll get this opening prayer with the Most High's permission. In the name of His only beloved and begotten Son, our Lord and Savior, Yahweh HaMashiach, locally known as Jesus the Christ. Long live the King.
Long live the King.
Reading in the book of Psalms, the 123rd chapter. And it reads, Unto thee lift I up mine eyes, O thou that dwellest in the heavens. Behold, as the eyes of servants look unto the land of their masters, and as the eyes of a maiden unto the hand of her mistress, so our eyes wait upon the Most High our power, until that we have mercy upon us. Have mercy upon us, O Yahweh. Have mercy upon us, for we are exceedingly filled with contempt. Our soul is exceedingly filled with the scorning of those that are at ease, and with the contempt of the proud.
Hallelujah! Say loud!
Yes, sir. Keep it short and sweet. And get this reading in.
Yeah, we're going to get some reading in today.
You're going to learn today.
Read, but we're going to get some understanding on the Feast of Purim and why we do it and what took place to get us to that point.
All praise.
To where it was deemed a holy feast day. Talking about food.
It's like a mic stand on just a little.
Toward me?
Yes, sir.
We're going to get this going in the book of Esther in the 16:11 right now. Then we're going to go through the Apocrypha after that. Give a little more meaning to it. We What's going on?
Yeah, I'll start it off.
You got it?
Yeah, we'll run them one and one.
All right.
Right there. Well, we're going to be reading out of the book of Esther, which of course is in the Old Testament. We'll wait for y'all to get there. And then we'll get it started in chapter 1 and verse 1. Everybody there?
Yeah.
All right, let's get it. The book of Esther, chapter 1 and verse 1. Let's get some understanding. Now it came to pass in the days of Ahasuerus. This is Ahasuerus, which reigned from India even unto Ethiopia, over 127 provinces. That in those days, when the king Ahasuerus sat on the throne of his kingdom, which was in Shushan the palace, in the 3rd year of his reign, he made a feast unto all his princes and his servants, the power of Persia and Media, the nobles and princes of the provinces being before him.
We have a feast going on.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
When he showed the riches of his glorious kingdom and the honor of his excellent majesty many days.
A feast of show off.
Right. Even an 180 days. And when these days were expired, the king made a feast unto all the people that were present in Shushan the palace, both unto great and small, 7 days in the court of the garden of the king's palace, where were white, green, and blue hangings, fastened with cords of fine linen, and purple to silver rings, and pillars of marble. The beds were of gold and silver, upon a pavement of red and blue.
Looks like they got it going on.
Yeah.
Huh?
That is a
7 day
big down.
feast. He's standing on all that. Come on.
And white and black marble. And they gave them drink in vessels of gold, the vessels being diverse one from another.
So they drinking out of glasses or vessels, and ain't none of them even alike.
Right.
Everybody got their own personal
Right.
glass or cup.
Made out of gold.
Gold cup with your insignia on it. Ain't no mixing up drinks of that, is it?
Nah.
That ain't the red cup special, is it? Is this mine? Go ahead.
And royal wine in abundance, according to the state of the king. And the drinking was according to the law. None did compare. For so the king had appointed to all the officers of his house, so that they should do according to every man's pleasure. Also, Vashti, the queen, made a feast for the women in the royal house, which belonged to King Ahasuerus. On the 7th day, when the heart of the king was merry with wine.
What?
His heart was merry with wine.
Oh, okay.
He's feeling good.
What's happening with that?
He commanded Mehuman, Biztha, Harbona, Bigtha, and Abagtha, Zethar, and Carcass, and 7 chamberlains that served in the presence of Ahasuerus the king, to bring Vashti the queen before the king with the crown royal.
So he married with wine and want them to go get the queen.
Right.
And the crown royal.
Uh-oh. Not the crown royal. To show the people and the princess her beauty, for she was fair to look upon. But the queen Vashti refused to come at the king's commandment by his chamberlain. Therefore was the king very wroth, and his anger burned in him. Then the king said to the wise men, which knew the times, For so was the king's manner toward all that knew law and judgment. And the next unto him was Karshena, Shethar, Admatha, Tarshish, Merez, Marsena, and Mamukin, the 7 princes of Persia and Media, which saw the king's face, and which sat the first in the kingdom. What shall we do unto the queen Vashti according to law? Because she hath not performed the commandment of the king Ahasuerus by the chamber. So now they done, saw what was going on when the queen refused to come out because the king is feeling merry and he want to show off his prize, but now she done refused to show, which is going against, the king's request.
Well, mind you, it's the other people that want to do something about it. He just mad.
Right. But they calling them on. Verse 16. And Mamukin answered before the king and the princes, Vashti, the queen, hath not done wrong to the king only, but also to all the princes and to all the people that are in the provinces of the king Ahasuerus. For this deed of the queen shall come abroad unto all women, so that they shall despise their husbands in their eyes.
Oh no, if the king woman doing this, we got to put an end to this now.
Right.
I don't want to go home there.
They know it to have a trickle down effect. They know it.
When it shall be reported, the king Ahasuerus commanded Vashti the queen to be brought in before him, but she came not. Likewise shall the ladies of Persia and Media say this day unto all the king's princes which have heard of the deed of the queen.
Oh man, all of us going home and ain't none of our wives gonna come and talk to us. Kick rocks.
Thus shall there arise too much contempt and wrath. If it please the king, let there go a royal commandment from him, and let it be written among the laws of the Persians and the Medes, that it be not altered, that Vashti come no more before King Ahasuerus.
See, so them writing laws to appease themselves, that's been going on. That ain't new.
And let the king give her royal estate unto another that is better than she. So that would be an obedient wife. Verse 20. And when the king's decree, which he shall make, shall be published throughout all his empire, for it is great, all the wives shall give to their husbands honor, both too great and small. And the saying pleased the king and the princes. And the king did according to the word of Mamukin. For he sent letters into all the king's provinces, into every province according to the writing thereof. So according to the writing thereof, that means they must be speaking different languages in these different provinces.
That's right. In all these provinces with all these different people.
Exactly, but all under the rule of the same king.
Same king.
Yes. And to every people after their language, that every man should bear rule in his own house. That every man should bear rule in his own house. And that it should be published according to the language of every people.
And that's partly how they got us told up now, because the men don't run the house. Half the men ain't even in the house.
Right.
That's why we go on the straight now. No control.
None. So
Go ahead, chapter 2.
All right, chapter 2.
The second witness to that is 1 Timothy 2:20. Women have an authority over the man.
Yeah.
The man's supposed to have authority over his whole house.
that's right.
If men was running houses, everything wouldn't be amok right now.
Yeah.
Go ahead, chapter 2.
All right, chapter 2, verse 1. After these things, when the wrath of King Ahasuerus was appeased, he remembered Vashti and what she had done and what was decreed against her. Then said the king's servants that ministered unto him, Let there be fair young virgins sought for the king, and let the king appoint officers in all the provinces of his kingdom, that they may gather together all the fair young virgins unto Shushan the palace, to the house of the women, unto the custody of Hegai, the king's chamberlain, keeper of the women, and let their things for purification be given them. And let the maidens which pleaseth the king be queen instead of Vashti.
Is this what is this Flavor of Love or something?
Flavor Flav.
They getting them prepared, ain't they?
Right.
Go ahead.
It says, and the thing pleased the king, and he did so. Now in Shushan the palace, there was a certain Jew whose name was Mordecai, the son of Jer, the son of Shimei, the son of Kish, a Benjamite, who had been carried away from Jerusalem with the captivity which had been carried away with Jeconiah, king of Judah, whom Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, had carried away. And he brought up a Hadash, that it, you say what? Hadasha, that is Esther, his uncle's daughter, for she had neither father nor mother, and the maid was fair and beautiful, whom Mordecai, when her father and mother were dead, took for his own daughter. So it came to pass, when the king's commandment and his decree was heard, when many maidens were gathered together unto Shushan the palace, to the custody of Hegai, that Esther was brought also unto the king's house, to the custody of Hegai, keeper of the women. And the maiden pleased him, and she obtained kindness of him, and he speedily gave her things for purification.
Y'all sure this ain't the Flavor of Love?
And that's what it sounds like, though. It says, with such things as belonged to her, and 7 maidens, which were meet to be given her out of the king's house. And he preferred her and her maidens unto the best place of the house of the women. Esther had not showed her people nor her kindred, for Mordecai had charged her that she should not show it. And Mordecai walked every day before the court of the women's house, to know how Esther did and what should become of her. Now when every maid's turn was come to go in to King Ahasuerus, after that she had been 12 months, according to the manner of the women, for so were the days of their purification accomplished, to wit, 6 months with oil of myrrh, and 6 months with sweet odors, and with other things for the purifying of the women.
So now the purification process took a whole year. So it's just like marinating meat,
So just because she was a virgin,
Right,
she still had to be purified.
right. And for a year and 6 months of that, it was like she was just sitting there marinating in these oils. And then 6 months with sweet odors, just like perfumes. And so, she was just a fresh, sweet young tender.
Watch yourself.
Read on, bro.
All right, verse 13. Then thus came every maiden unto the king. Whatsoever she desired was given her to go with her out of the house of the women unto the king's house. In the evening she went, and on the morrow she returned into the second house of the women, to the custody of Shaashgaz. Is that how you pronounce it?
Close enough for me.
The king's chamberlain, which kept the concubines. She came in unto the king no more, except the king delighted in her, and that she were called by name. Now when the turn of Esther, the daughter of Abihail, the uncle of Mordecai, who had taken her for his daughter, was come to go in unto the king, she required nothing but what Hegai, the king's chamberlain, the keeper of the women, appointed. And Esther obtained favor in the sight of all them that looked upon her. So Esther was taken unto King Ahasuerus into his house royal in the 10th month. which is the month Tebeth, in the 7th year of his reign. And the king loved Esther above all the women, and she obtained grace and favor in his sight more than all the virgins, so that he set the royal crown upon her head and made her queen instead of Vashti. Verse 18. Then the king made a great feast unto all the princes and his servants, even Esther's feast. And he made a release to the providence and gave gifts according to the state of the king. And when the virgins were gathered together the second time, then Mordecai sat in the king's gate. Esther had not yet showed her kindred nor her people, as Mordecai had charged her. For Esther did the commandment of Mordecai, like as when she was brought up with him.
Now she ain't telling him what she really is.
Right.
She just in there.
Right.
Go ahead.
Verse 21. In those days, while Mordecai sat in the king's gate, two of the king's chamberlains, Bigthan and Teresh, of those which kept the door, were wroth and sought to lay hands on the king Ahasuerus.
So Bigthan and Teresh, they fly.
Like bouncers.
Right.
Like, oh man, we can run this better than him. Come on.
Verse 22. And the thing was known to Mordecai, who told it unto Esther the queen, and Esther certified the king thereof in Mordecai's name. And when inquisition was made of the matter, it was found out. Therefore they were both hanged on a tree, and it was written in the book of the Chronicles before the king.
So Mordecai snitched, huh? But that snitching saves his people in the long run.
Exactly. Right. He gave
He's
him
still
the
doing the will of the Most High when you get through talking. Let's go. Chapter 3.
Chapter 3. After these things did King Ahasuerus promote Haman, the son of Amminadab, the Agagite, and advanced him and set his seat above all the princes that were with him, and all the king's servants that were in the king's gate bowed and reverenced Haman, for the king had so commanded concerning him. But Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence.
That's the problem there already.
Right.
Everybody bow to me. I just got right. Everybody bow with me, but you ain't bowing to me.
Right. The king that made him second in command, and everybody
I'm
reverencing
gonna
him.
catch you slipping.
Yeah. Verse 3. Then the king's servants, which were in the king's gates, said unto Mordecai, why transgresseth thou the king's commandment? Now it came to pass, when they spake daily unto him, and he hearkened not unto them, that they told Haman to see whether Mordecai's matters would stand.
So he ain't even answering when they ask him, why you ain't bowing? He just looking at him. He ain't even answering.
For he had told them that he was a Jew. And when Haman saw that Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence, then was Haman full of wrath. And he thought scorn to lay hands on Mordecai alone, for they had showed him the people of Mordecai. Wherefore Haman sought to destroy all the Jews that were throughout the whole kingdom of Ahasuerus, even the people of Mordecai.
Now here we go with this again. They want to kill us off.
Right. Just because Mordecai won't bow to Haman, Haman want to kill all the Jews.
So they just show all they need is an excuse.
Any reason.
And then Haman,
not praise other men. So when you bow down to a man, you're not getting the same way you reverence God.
Right. That's what they do. That's what they do.
Right. Yeah, no Jews.
Verse 7.
oh, that Haman, you notice he said he was a Gagite. When you go to 1 Samuel chapter 15, you'll realize that Saul was sent to kill off the Amalekites, but he ended up saving the king of Gag. That's who Haman descend from. So I struggle with them. It goes way back. goes very way back. So, you know what I'm saying? We know strangers to each other right here.
Right.
You know,
I'm tired of them anyway.
right. You know, they done killed off all my people.
Mhm. Verse 7. In the first month, that is, the month of Nisan, in the 12th year of King Ahasuerus, they cast Purim, that is, the lot, before Haman from day to day, and from month to month, to the 12th month, that is, the month Adar. And Haman said unto King Ahasuerus, there is a certain people scattered abroad and dispersed among the people in all the provinces of thy kingdom, and their laws are diverse from all people. Neither keep they the king's laws, therefore it is not for the king's profit to suffer them. So he's saying that they don't even do the same things that all the other people do. They're a set apart people amongst everybody. So they're not doing what you say do, so they don't mean you any good. They're of no profit to you.
Get rid of them.
Get rid of them. Verse 9. If it please the king, let it be written that they may be destroyed, and I will pay 10,000 talents of silver to the hands of those that have the charge of the business, to bring it into the king's treasury.
10,000. Man.
Put a bounty on our heads.
10,000 talents of silver. Huh?
And
A long time, but when the 10 G's to get somebody,
hey, gotta get that bread.
did they get that from the script?
Verse 10. And the king took his ring from his hand and gave it unto Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, the Jews' enemy. And the king said unto Haman, the silver is given to thee, the people also, to do with them as it seemeth good to thee. And it's just like Brew just said, this is the descendant of our enemy from way back. And this nigga couldn't wait to get some get back.
Exactly.
You know, now you gave him some bread and gave him the ring, and he got full authority to do what you want to do with these niggas. Verse 12. Then were the king's scribes called unto the 13th day of the first month, and there was written according to all that Haman had commanded unto the king's lieutenants, and to the governors that were over every province, and to the rulers of every people of every province, according to the writing thereof, and to every people after their language.
They go in different languages again.
So everybody understands, kill these niggas, there's some paper involved. In the name of King Ahasuerus was it written and sealed with the king's ring that he had given to Haman. And the letters were sent by post in all the king's provinces to destroy, to kill, and to cause to perish all Jews, both young and old, little children and women, in one day, even upon the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month Adar, and to take the spoil of them for a prey. The copy of the writing for a commandment to be given in every province was published unto all people, that they should be ready against that day.
So they plotting ahead of time, sending posts out. Donald Trump is sending a post out that all that's gonna get killed on a certain day. Whack them all. And the other day.
Right.
Yes. You ain't lying, the purge.
And if they send in a letter, that means everybody know. Even those that are about to be killed know.
Right.
So they knew what was getting ready to happen.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So they got themselves prepared.
Right. Verse 15. The post went out, being hastened by the king's commandment.
Hurry up.
Yeah. And the decree was given in Shushan the palace. And the king and Haman sat down to drink. But the city Shushan was perplexed, was buzzing like a beehive.
Right.
Once that hit, it's like kill all the Jews and this bread.
There's a lot of Jews there, so of course it's gonna be perplexed. Right?
Exactly.
And Mordecai, Jew, well, he the Jew at the gate, so he know and he telling everybody. So everybody know. It's posted. Now we're in chapter 4.
Verse 1. It says, when Mordecai perceived all that was done, Mordecai rent his clothes.
What?
Rent his clothes.
He didn't go rent no outfit. Rent his stuff.
And
Why
put
do you
on.
need to look that word up?
I don't know.
He tore on.
He told
Came
his
up out of
clothes.
him.
Go ahead.
It says, and put on sackcloth with ashes.
Now see what our people did when they was under adversity?
Mhm.
They tore off their clothes and put on sackcloth, put ashes on their head.
Humbled themselves.
We gonna read later on, the queen, she put dung on top of the ashes.
Uh-oh.
Mm.
Huh? But we won't even pray and meditate to the Most High and fast.
Exactly.
We just want it to be all right.
Yeah.
Come on.
And went out into the midst of the city and cried with a loud and a bitter cry. And it came even before the king's gate, for none might enter into the king's gate clothed with sackcloth.
You couldn't even go in the king's gate dressed like that.
Dress code.
They had a dress code.
Verse 3. And in every province, whithersoever the king's commandment and his decree came, there was great mourning among the Jews, and fasting and weeping and wailing, and many lay in sackcloth and ashes. So Esther's maids and her chamberlains came and told it her. Then was the queen exceedingly grieved, and she sent raiment to clothe Mordecai and to take away his sackcloth from him, but he received it not. Then called Esther for Hattach, one of the king's chamberlains, whom he had appointed to attend upon her, and gave him a commandment to Mordecai to know what it was and why it was. So Hattach went forth to Mordecai onto the street of the city, which was before the king's gate. And Mordecai told him of all that had happened unto him, and of the sum of the money that Haman had promised to pay to the king's treasurers for the Jews to destroy them. Also, he gave him the copy of the writing of the decree that was given at Shushan to destroy them, to show it unto Esther, and to declare it unto her.
So he's standing by the gate. He even got the letter in his pocket.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you want to know what's going on here? Get us to it. Tell her this was going on, people out here. Right? Come on.
And to charge her that she should go in unto the king to make supplication unto him, and to make request before him for her people. And Hattach came and told Esther the words of Mordecai. Again Esther spake unto Hattach, and gave him commandment unto Mordecai. All the king's servants and the people of the king's provinces do know that whosoever, whether man or woman, shall come unto the king into the inner court, who is not called, there was one law of his to put him to death.
So she trying to let him know, I can't just go up there and talk to him.
Exactly.
I gotta wait till he called me.
Mm-hmm.
Come on.
Except such to whom the king shall hold out the golden scepter, that he may live. But I have not been called to come in unto the king these 30 days. And they told to Mordecai Esther's words. Then Mordecai commanded to answer Esther, think not with thyself that thou shalt escape in the king's house more than all the Jews.
So now she got to operate on faith.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's letting her know it's gonna happen to you too.
Exactly.
So you gonna risk going in there and getting killed just for going in there without being called, or you just gonna stand by and wait to get killed later on?
Exactly.
Huh? Come on.
Verse 14. For if thou altogether holdest thy peace at this time, then shall their enlargement and deliverance arise to the Jews from another place. and thou and thy father's house shall be destroyed. And who knoweth whether thou art come to the kingdom for such a time as this? Then Esther bade them return Mordecai this answer: Go, gather together all the Jews that are present in Shushan, and fast ye for me, and neither eat nor drink 3 days, night or day. I also and my maidens will fast likewise.
See what they doing when they need something done? We march around with signs: no justice, no peace.
Right.
Exactly.
And they'll be peaceful.
Right.
But they getting sackcloth and ashes as a whole, and fast and pray for the Most High to deliver them. Think he'll deliver us if he did that on the whole?
Yes.
I don't think so.
Do you think we could do that on the whole?
You gotta turn that on.
Come on.
And so will I go in unto the king, which is not according to the law. And if I perish, I perish.
What you gotta be willing to do, put it on the line.
Exactly.
You gotta be willing to die for your people, for somebody else.
Exactly.
You can't save your own life. Give your life for somebody else. That's a whole lot of off of you. Yeah, I don't know about y'all, but I need some of that. Come on.
Verse 17. So Mordecai went his way and did according to all that Esther had commanded him. Chapter 5.
Chapter 5. Now it came to pass on the 3rd day that Esther put on her royal apparel and stood in the inner court of the king's house.
So she just walking around on the outskirts, trying to get them to notice and say, "Hey, you, come here." Right. Go ahead.
Over against the king's house. And the king sat upon his royal throne in the royal house, over against the gate of the house. And it was so, when the king saw Esther, the queen, standing in the court, that she obtained favor in his sight. And the king held out to Esther the golden scepter that was in his hand. So Esther drew near and touched the top of the scepter. Then said the king unto her, What wilt thou, Queen Esther? And what is thy request? It shall be given thee to the half of the kingdom. And Esther answered, If it seem good unto the king, let the king and Haman come this day unto the banquet that I have prepared for them. Then the king said, Cause Haman to make haste, that he may do as Esther hath said. So the king and Haman came to the banquet that Esther had prepared.
So the king, he looking at us, and she's so beautiful, he like, you can get half the kingdom.
Whatever you want. What you got, bro?
See, that's in contrast with Herod, when he wanted his daughter to dance for him, he was going to give back to his kingdom.
Exactly.
For some wickedness.
Yeah.
But in this situation, she's about to save her people.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. Verse 6. And the king said unto Esther at the banquet of wine, What is thy petition? And it shall be granted thee. And what is thy request? Even to the half of the kingdom, it shall be performed.
He was offered the half again.
Yeah. Then answered Esther and said, My petition and my request is, if I have found favor in the sight of the king, and if it please the king to grant my petition and to perform my request, let the king and Haman come to the banquet that I shall prepare for them. And I will do tomorrow as the king hath said. Then went Haman forth that day joyful and with a glad heart. But when Haman saw Mordecai in the king's gate, that he stood not up, nor moved for him, he was full of indignation against Mordecai.
He walked out happy.
Right.
I'm finna eat with the king and the queen.
Exactly.
See, Mordecai, that whole thing turned to hate that instant.
Verse 10. Nevertheless, Haman refrained himself, and when he came home, And when he came home, he sent and called for his friends and Zeresh, his wife.
Now he finna brag.
And Haman told them of the glory of his riches and the multitude of his children and all the things wherein the king had promoted him, and how he had advanced him above the princes and servants of the king.
Baby, we made it.
Yeah. Haman said, moreover, Esther, the queen, did let no man come in with the king unto the banquet that she had prepared but myself.
So he
And tomorrow am I invited unto her also with the king.
Now, I don't know about y'all, but when stuff like this make me suspicious.
Yeah.
He's so full of himself, right? He don't even see what's coming. Right. Go ahead.
Exactly.
Yet all this availeth me nothing, so long as I see Mordecai, the Jew, sitting at the king's gate.
Now he bragging about all he got and all this pleasure he got. How he with the king, ain't nobody else doing that. But you can't get past Mordecai sitting at the gate. Right. Paying you no man.
Right.
But then you know what I just tripped off of, Hebrew? Like, it was a good thing that she hid her identity, because had Haman known that she was a Jew, he would have been suspicious.
He would have been suspicious.
Exactly. He would have been suspicious in this instance.
I would have been suspicious anyway.
Verse 14.
Right.
Then said Zeresh his wife and all his friends unto him, let a gallows be made of 50 cubits high, and tomorrow speak thou unto the king that Mordecai may be hanged thereon.
Now is his wife running his house?
She just making suggestions. Ain't that what y'all do? Just make
She
suggestions?
how she wanted him to hang.
Right.
She wanted him to pick him up.
I say she got his back.
Then go thou in merrily with the king unto the banquet. And the thing pleased Haman, and he caused the gallows to be made.
Chapter 6. On that night could not the king sleep, and he commanded to bring the book of records of the Chronicles, and they were read before the king.
So now he can't sleep.
Right.
Somebody, a spirit has put something on his mind. Yeah.
He like, bring me them
The
books.
Most High works in mysterious ways.
Right.
Let's read and find out.
Right. And it had to be something about them books,
Right.
causing them to be brought before him.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 2. And it was found written that Mordecai had told of Bigthana,
Big time.
Big Stan and T-Rex.
Big Dan and Teresh, two of the king's chamberlains, the keepers of the door, who sought to lay hand on the king Ahasuerus.
See, they go in the door and plot on the Most High. Mordecai stopped it. And now the king remembered it. Wait a minute, Mordecai did that. Okay, Mordecai did that. He got them up off me. Because when you a kingdom of all the provinces, you got a lot going on.
Right.
Exactly.
You ain't getting everything right as it happened. That's just the justice of the situation. See, some of them now, they got paperwork stacked on their desk. They don't get to everything as soon as it gets set there. Go ahead.
Verse 3. The king said, what honor and dignity have been done to Mordecai for this? Then said the king's servants that ministered unto him, there was nothing done for him.
No, this can't be. This can't be.
Right. Verse 4. And the king said, who is in the court? Now Haman was come into the outward court of the king's house to speak unto the king to hang Mordecai on the gallows that he had prepared for
So
him.
he already prepared these gallows. He going to here to talk to the king about hanging the same person the king talking about reward.
Right. And you just about to see just how full of himself that Haman is. He just straight full of himself.
He gonna be way full of himself.
Right.
Let's see, what would I like?
Right. Hey, that's so what he had to be doing. Hey,
Come on.
verse 5. And the king's servant said unto him, behold, Haman standeth in the court. And the king said, let him come in. So Haman came in, and the king said unto him, what shall be done unto the man whom the king delighteth to honor? Now Haman thought in his heart.
He thought in his what?
In his heart.
In his what?
In his heart.
Oh man. That's where he didn't trip.
Hey, to whom would the king delight to honor more than to myself?
The heart is exceedingly wicked.
Hey, straight up.
And that's what he thought. Like, come on now.
Straight up. Fooling himself, boy. Verse 7. And Haman answered the king, for the man whom the king delighteth to honor, let the royal apparel be brought which the king useth to wear.
Yes,
and
the apparel would be lovely on my back.
Right. And the horse that the king rideth upon, and the crown royal which is set upon his head.
Yes, I'd like his crown too.
Right.
Give me the crown royal.
Right. Verse 9. And let this apparel and horse be delivered to the hand of one of the king's most noble princes, that they may array the man withal whom the king delighteth to honor, and bring him on horseback through the street of the city, and proclaim before him, thus shall it be done to the man whom the king delighteth to honor. Then the king said to Haman, make haste, take the apparel and the horse as thou hast said, and do even so to Mordecai the Jew, to Mordecai.
Oh, you know he told
the Jew. Like Brother Jacob said, he had the monkey mouth.
His
like,
whole stomach was turned upside down.
Yeah.
I was coming to hang him. No.
Hey, like Brother Jacob would say, he had the monkey mouth. He had the monkey mouth. All right. Verse 12. It says, and Mordecai. No, let me see. Did I skip 11?
You skipped something.
Just 10 from the top.
All right, 10 from the top. It says, then the king said to Haman, make haste and take the apparel and the horse as thou hast said, and do even so to Mordecai the Jew that sitteth at the king's gate. Let nothing fail of all that thou hast spoken.
They gave extra instruction. Let nothing fail of what you said. Everything you said,
Boy.
do it to him. The king would have killed me right there. I'm sorry. I ain't gonna be able to do it. When you got that much hate in your heart, that's how you gonna operate. Huh? But it showed you he was still scared. Come on.
Verse 11. Then took Haman the apparel and the horse, and arrayed Mordecai, and brought him on horseback through the street of the city, and proclaimed before him, thus shall it be done unto the man whom the king delighteth to honor. And Mordecai came again to the king's gate. But Haman hasted to his house mourning and having his head covered. And Haman told Zeresh, his wife, and all his friends everything that had befallen him. Then said his wise men and Zeresh, his wife, unto him, if Mordecai be of the seed of the Jews, before whom thou hast begun to fall, thou shalt not prevail against him, but shalt surely fall before him. And while they were yet talking with him, came the king's chamberlains, and hasted to bring Haman onto the banquet that Esther had prepared. Chapter 7.
They like, man, if you just gave him all that, ain't no chance. You going down. You going down. You ain't gonna prevail on this one.
Exactly.
Chalk it up as a loss.
Right.
That's what his advisors told him. And his wife.
Exactly. It sounds like she wanted his
She
advisor.
had his back before. Now she telling him, oh yeah, you do. She's supposed to still have his back, ain't she?
Chapter 7. So the king and Haman came to banquet with Esther the queen. And the king said again unto Esther on the second day at the banquet of wine, what is thy petition, Queen Esther? And it shall be granted thee. And what is thy request? And it shall be performed, even to the half of the kingdom.
So he offered half again.
Then Esther The queen answered and said, if I have found favor in thy sight, O king, and if it please the king, let my life be given me at my petition, and my people at my request.
See, she trying to save her people. Come on.
For we are sold, I and my people, to be destroyed, to be slain, and to perish.
10,000 talents. We sold. That sounds familiar, huh? Come on.
But if we had been sold for bondmen and bondwomen, I had held my tongue, although the enemy could not countervail the king's damage. Then the king Ahasuerus answered and said unto Esther the queen, who is he, and where is he, that durst presume in his heart to do so? And Esther said, the adversary and enemy is this wicked Haman.
Now he like the gig is up.
Yeah.
Like you, I should have came up here with them.
There he go with a rack of pool
But
balls in his shorts.
he's thinking with his mind and his heart. He's thinking he's gonna get it going on.
Right.
No, you getting called to your death, buddy.
Yeah.
Huh? Come on.
Then Haman was afraid before the king and the queen. And the king, arising from the banquet of wine in his wrath, went into the palace garden. And Haman stood up to make request for his life to Esther the queen, for he saw that there was evil determined against him by the king. Then the king returned out of the palace garden into the place of the banquet of wine.
And what happened?
And Haman was fallen upon the bed whereon Esther was. Then said the king, will he force the queen also before me in the house? As the word went out of the king's mouth, they covered Haman's face.
You on her bed?
Right.
What are you? I just walked out here to come back. You on the bed?
Right.
You on Verse 9. And Harbona, one of the chamberlains, said before the king, behold also the gallows 50 cubits high, which Haman had made for Mordecai.
He made them for who?
For Mordecai,
Oh, really?
who had spoken good for the king,
Oh, really?
standeth in the house of Haman. Then the king said, hang him thereon. So they hanged Haman on the gallows that he had prepared for Mordecai. Then was the king's wrath pacified.
Somebody made you make your own casket.
Right.
Hey, can I read this real fast, Hebrew? Hey, this Psalms,
You take your own rope to hang yourself.
exactly. This Psalms chapter 7, verse 15. It says, he made a pit and digged it, and it's fallen into the ditch which he made. The same thing Haman did. You know what I'm saying? He made a gallows to hang Mordecai on it, but he ended up hanging on it from himself.
Because it was wickedness in his heart. That's what brought it all along anyway.
Hey, straight
If he
up.
wasn't acting from an evil, wicked spirit, would none of that never even happen. It wouldn't have been no gallows for him to hang. Yeah, oh, no. They did something else to him then. Come on.
All right, chapter 8. Well, yeah, chapter 8. On that day did King Ahasuerus give the house of Haman, the Jews' enemy, unto Esther the queen. And Mordecai came before the king, for Esther had told what he was unto her. And the king took off his ring, which he had taken from Haman, and gave it unto Mordecai. And Esther set Mordecai over the house of Haman. And Esther spake yet again before the king, and fell down at his feet, and besought him with tears to put away the mischief of Haman the Agagite.
Now, see, they still got overturned in the law. That was written in the play.
Yeah, because the decree went out.
Yeah, it went out. They still got overturned there.
And his device that he had devised against the Jews. Then the king held out the golden scepter towards Esther. So Esther arose and stood before the king, and said, if it please the king, and if I have found favor in his sight, and the thing seem right before the king, and I be pleasing in his eyes, let it be written to reverse the letters devised by Haman, the son of Hammedatha the Agagite, which he wrote to destroy the Jews which are in all the king's provinces. For how can I endure to see the evil that shall come onto my people? Or how can I endure to see the destruction of my kindred? Then the king Ahasuerus said unto Esther the queen and to Mordecai the Jew, Behold, I have given Esther the house of Haman, and him they have hanged upon the gallows because he laid his hands upon the Jews. Write ye also for the Jews as it liketh you, in the king's name, and seal it with the king's ring.
So he let them write their own law.
Mm-hmm.
To overturn that law.
Mm-hmm.
Just like he let Haman write the law to kill them.
Yeah. Simple decree.
Go ahead.
For the writing which is written in the king's name and sealed with the king's ring may no man reverse. Then were the king's scribes called at that time in the 3rd month, that is, the month Sivan, on the 3rd and 20th day thereof. And it was written according to all that Mordecai commanded to the Jews, and to the lieutenants, and the deputies, and rulers of the provinces which are from India unto Ethiopia, 127 provinces, unto every province according to the writing thereof, and unto every people after their language, and to the Jews according to their writing.
So it was in different languages again.
Mm-hmm. And according to their language. Verse 10. And he wrote in the king Ahasuerus' name, and sealed it with the king's ring, and sent letters by post on horseback, and riders on mules, camels, and young dromedaries, wherein the king granted the Jews which were in every city to gather themselves together, and to stand for their life, to destroy, to slay, and to cause to perish all the power of the people and provinces that would assault them.
See, so he wrote a decree because they let him write his own law.
Mm-hmm.
So Mordecai inflicted, now he killing them.
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
But in verse 8, at the end of it, it was saying that what Haman had put in place,
They couldn't reverse it.
So they were able to write the other.
Right.
Yeah, they was just
Right.
making a counter
Where
law.
they get rid of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. To defend themselves.
Yes.
To defend themselves.
But even though, I mean, as we look at it, he's saying, the king is saying that here he is a mortal man, and what he had said and went out to his province, it can't be changed.
Exactly.
But here we are the chosen people.
Exactly.
We have people in our families and stuff that says all of that stuff is done away with, God's law.
Exactly.
All from on high.
Mhm.
You know, it's ludicrous that people would think that we can avoid God's laws.
Right.
And follow what man has put down.
Yeah.
If it's law.
All right,
Basically the same thing.
All right, or reverse his law, saying, "Oh well, we couldn't eat pork. They couldn't eat pork in the Old Testament, but we can eat it now." Like, how you gonna reverse his law like that? You know what I'm saying? Like, how you gonna do that?
I understand boldly saying that.
Yeah.
Those other laws are nailed to the cross.
Exactly.
And now we can do whatever. This is the creator of everything.
Yeah.
And he said, don't do this, so that's what we should do.
Well, I always asking this, would you kill your son? Would you allow your son to be killed so somebody else can do whatever they want to do?
Exactly.
Come on now.
They ain't got no sense though. It's like the Constitution got stuff that they really can't reverse, but they gotta make amendments to it.
Yeah, that's why they make amendments.
Right. They can't go back and change the Constitution. According to the
That's
Constitution.
basically what this is, an amendment, a killing amendment.
Still pretty fit something new.
We gonna flip it. Come on.
All right, verse 12. Upon one day in all the provinces of King Ahasuerus, namely upon the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month Adar, the copy of the writing for a commandment to be given in every province was published unto all people, and that the Jews should be ready against that day to avenge themselves on their enemies.
That's right. On that day comes, we fighting back.
Mhm.
Because the creed went out.
Mhm.
So we gonna show them what time it is.
Exactly. Verse 14. So the posts that rode up on mules and camels went out, being hastened and pressed on by the king's commandment. And the decree was given at Shushan the palace. And Mordecai went out from the presence of the king in royal apparel of blue and white, and with a great crown of gold, and with the garment of fine linen and purple. And the city of Shushan rejoiced and was glad, and the Jews had light and gladness and joy and honor. And in every province and in every city, whithersoever the king's commandment and his decree came, the Jews had joy and gladness, a feast and a good day. And many of the people of the land became Jews, for the fear of the Jews fell upon them.
So they didn't reverse that. They didn't reverse the decree, but they sent out another decree to kill all of them that made all of them scared. Oh no, it's too many of them. We can't. If we ain't got the backing of the king, we ain't doing none of them.
And what they say, if you can't beat them, join them. Right.
That's for sure.
Chapter 9. Now in the 12th month, that is the month Adar, on the 13th day of the same, when the king's commandment and his decree drew near to be put in execution, in the day that the enemies of the Jews hoped to have power over them, though it was turned to the contrary, that the Jews had rule over them that hated them. The Jews gathered themselves together in their cities throughout all the provinces of the king Ahasuerus, to lay hand on such as sought their hurt, and no man could withstand them, for the fear of them fell upon all people.
The Jews activated.
Yes, sir. And all the rulers of the provinces and the lieutenants and the deputies and officers of the king helped the Jews, because the fear of Mordecai fell upon them.
Because he got rank now.
Right.
So they ain't going against him. He got rank, got the king's ring. We with you.
Yep.
You want them gone? We got you.
For Mordecai was great in the king's house, and his fame went out throughout all the provinces. For this man Mordecai waxed greater and greater. Thus the Jews smote all their enemies with the stroke of the sword, and slaughter, and destruction, and did what they would unto those that hated them. And in Shushan the palace, the Jews slew and destroyed 500 men. And Parshandatha, and Dalphon, and Aspatha, and Poratha, and Adalia, and Ariditha, and Parmashta, and Arasai, and Aradai, and Vajezatha, the 10 sons of Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the enemy of the Jews slew they, but on the spoil laid they not their hands.
So they killed them, but didn't take their riches.
Right.
Huh? Because this is righteous here. Come on.
On that day, the number of those that were slain in Shushan the palace was brought before the king. And the king said unto Esther the queen, the Jews have slain and destroyed 500 men in Shushan the palace, and 10 sons of Haman. What have they done in the rest of the king's province? Now, what is thy petition? And it shall be granted thee. Or what is thy request further? And it shall be done. Then said Esther, if it please the king, let it be granted to the Jews which are in Shushan to do tomorrow also according unto this day's decree. And let Haman's 10 sons be hanged upon the gallows. And the king commanded it so to be done. And the decree was given at Shushan. And they hanged Haman's 10 sons. For the Jews that were in Shushan gathered themselves together on the 14th day also of the month Adar, and slew 300 men at Shushan. But on the prey they laid not their hand.
So that was 2 days in a row they did that.
Yeah,
First 500, and then what was it, 300 on this?
yep,
2 days in a row. But laid not their hand on the spoil. Left the spoil for the poor.
But the other Jews that were in the king's provinces gathered themselves together and stood for their lives and had rest from their enemies and slew of their foes 75,000. But they laid not their hands on the prey. On the 13th day of the month Adar, and on the 14th day of the same rested they, and made it a day of feasting and gladness. But the Jews that were at Shushan assembled together on the 13th day thereof, and on the 14th day thereof, and on the 15th day of the same they rested, and made it a day of feasting and gladness. Therefore, the Jews of the villages that dwelt in the unwalled towns made the 14th day of the month Adar a day of gladness and feasting, and a good day, and of sending portions one to another.
Sending portions one to another. That's why we give to the needy. We give them portions. That's why they left the spoil. So the poor could be fed.
Right.
Not everybody gathering things, oh, I want all, let's go.
Right.
No.
Verse 20. And Mordecai wrote these things and sent letters unto all the Jews that were in all the provinces of the king Ahasuerus, both nigh and far, to establish this among them, that they should keep the 14th day of the month Adar, and the 15th day of the same yearly, as the days wherein the Jews rested from their enemies, and the month which was turned unto them from sorrow to joy, and from mourning into a good day, that they should make them days of feasting and joy, and of sending portions one to another, and gifts to the poor.
And gifts to the poor.
And the Jews undertook to do as they had begun, and as Mordecai had written unto them. Because Haman, the son of Amminadab, the Agagite, the enemy of all the Jews, had devised against the Jews to destroy them, and cast pure, that is, the lot, to consume them, and to destroy them. But when Esther came before the king, he commanded by letters that his wicked device, which he devised against the Jews, should return upon his own head, and that he and his sons should be hanged on the gallows.
What you have done will be done to you.
That's right.
Come on.
Wherefore they call these days Purim, after the name of Purim. Therefore, for all the words of this letter, and of that which they had seen concerning this matter, and which had come unto them, the Jews ordained and took upon them, and upon their seed, and upon all such as joined themselves unto them, so as it should not fail, that they would keep these 2 days according to their writing, and according to their appointed time every year, and that these days should be remembered and kept throughout every generation, every family, every province, and every city, and that these days of Purim should not fail from among the Jews, nor the memorial of them perish from their seed. Then Esther, the queen, the daughter of Abihail, and Mordecai the Jew, wrote with all authority to confirm this second letter of Purim. And he sent the letters unto all the Jews, to the 127 provinces of the kingdom of Ahasuerus, which words of peace and truth, to confirm these days of Purim in their times appointed, according to Mordecai the Jew and Esther the queen had enjoined them. and as they had decreed for themselves and for their seed the matters of the fastings and their cry. And the decree of Esther confirmed these matters of Purim, and it was written in the book.
Chapter 10. The king Ahasuerus laid a tribute upon the land and upon the isles of the sea, and all the acts of his power and of his might, and the declaration of the greatness of Mordecai whereunto the king advanced him, are they not written in the book of the chronicles of the kings of of Media and Persia? For Mordecai the Jew was next unto King Ahasuerus, and great among the Jews, and accepted of the multitude of his brethren, seeking the wealth of his people, and speaking peace to all his seed.
Speaking the wealth of his people, not the wealth of himself.
And the continuation of this chapter 10 is in the Apocrypha.
Yeah, we're gonna go to Apocrypha now. We're gonna do 10. No, it was a habit. Oh, that ain't right now.
No, that's not right
That's
now.
not right now.
I believe that's
That's a different time.
yeah.
That was a different time. Well, continuation of 10.
Yeah, the continuation of 10 in the Apocrypha.
In the Apocrypha. I got it up on the board for those who ain't got it.
Right, for those that's reading in this red book, is on page 55. Actually, it look like everybody there. We still got a couple people listening.
Now we're gonna read. It's the same story with a little more detail, a little more meat to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said earlier, we're gonna see where the queen not only put on sackcloth and ashes, but she put dung on her head too, in prayer and supplication.
To the book of Esther.
Continuation of Esther.
There's 68 in the black book, the black apocrypha.
Still ain't there?
Okay.
All right.
Making a call.
It says, then Mordocius said,
Say Mordecai.
oh,
Yeah.
I was wondering who,
See, this was recorded in a different time, so they
Yeah.
spelled things different, right?
yeah, because it
You're
says,
gonna find, Haman is, I think he spelled different. Esther is about the only thing in here that's spelled the same way. All the rest of them, but you can tell by the story what they talking about. They talking about the same story we just read.
all right,
They spelled it differently.
right.
Mordecai.
Right, because when you read the subheading before you start reading the chapter, it says part of the 10th chapter after the Greek.
Right.
It says, then Mordecai said, God have done these things, for I remember a dream which I saw concerning these matters, and nothing thereof hath failed. A little fountain became a river, and there was light, and the sun, and much water. This river is Esther, whom the king married and made queen. And the two dragons are I and, what's that, Haman?
It's Haman.
All right, Haman.
They put Haman, yeah.
And the nations were those that were assembled to destroy the name of the Jews. And my nation is this Israel, which cried to God and were saved. For the Lord had saved his people, and the Lord hath delivered us from all those evils. And God hath wrought signs and great wonders, which have not been done among the Gentiles. Therefore hath he made two lots, one for the people of God, and another for all the Gentiles. And these two lots came at the hour and time and day of judgment before God among all nations. So God remembered his people and justified his inheritance. Therefore, those days shall be unto them in the month Adar, the 14th and 15th day of the same month, with an assembly and joy and with gladness before God, according to the generations forever among his people.
Chapter 11. In the 4th year of the reign of Ptolemy and Cleopatra, Dositheus, who said he was a priest and Levite, and Ptolemy, his son, brought this epistle of Purim, which they said was the same, and that Lysimachus, the son of Ptolemy, that was in Jerusalem, had interpreted it.
Wait a minute, how you have to interpret it? Oh, that's right, you keep reading different languages. My bad.
Verse 2. In the 2nd year of the reign of Artaxerxes, Artaxerxes, I knew that was that. Artaxerxes the Great, in the 1st day of the month Nisan, Mordecai, the son of Jairus, the son of Simei, the son of Sisai, of the tribe of Benjamin, had a dream, who was a Jew, and dwelt in the city of Susa, a great man, being a servitor in the king's court. He was also one of the captains, which Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, carried to Jerusalem, and Jeconiah, king of Judah. And this was his dream. Behold, a noise of a tumult, which thunder and earthquakes and uproar in the land. And behold, 2 great dragons came forth ready to fight, and their cry was great. And at their cry, all nations were prepared to battle, that they might fight against the righteous people. And lo, a day of darkness and obscurity, tribulation and anguish, affliction and great uproar upon the earth. And the whole righteous nation was troubled, fearing their own evils, and were ready to perish. Then they cried unto Yah, and upon their cry, as it were from a little fountain, was made a great flood, even much water. The light and the sun rose up, and the lowly were exalted, and devoured the glorious. Now when Mordecai, who had seen this dream, and what Yah had determined to do, was awake, he bare this dream in mind, and until night, by all means, was desirous to know it.
Chapter 12. And Mordecai took his rest in the court with Gabbatha and Thora, the 2 eunuchs of the king,
And came around with the eunuchs.
And keepers of the palace. And he heard their devices and searched out their purposes, and learned that they were about to lay hands on Artaxerxes, the king. And so he certified the king of them. Then the king examined the 2 eunuchs, and after that they had confessed it, they were strangled.
That's Big Man and T-Rex.
Verse 4. The king made a record of these things, and Mordecai also wrote thereof. So the king commanded Mordecai to serve in the court, and for this he rewarded him. Howbeit Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, who was in great honor with the king, sought to molest Mordecai and his people because of the 2 eunuchs of the king.
I was tripping off there. Why they call him molest right there?
Hey, I was tripping off there too.
The Greeks had something else on their mind.
Chapter 13. The copy of the letters was this: the great king Artaxerxes writeth these things to the princes and governors that are under him from India unto Ethiopia, in 107 provinces.
See, that's the same. We talking about the same land, same provinces, same number of provinces. They just changed the names a little bit. Okay.
Verse
The
2.
story's still the same.
Yes, sir. After that, I became Lord over many nations and had dominions over the whole world, not lifted up with presumption of my authority.
Wait a minute, he what?
Not lifted up with presumption of my authority.
Total opposite of what Haman was.
Mm-hmm.
But he was very puffed up.
Right. But carrying myself always with equity and mildness, I purpose to settle my subjects continually in a quiet life.
See, going about being quiet, meek, handling his business.
And making my kingdom peaceable and open for passage to the utmost coast, to renew peace, which is desired of all men. Now, when I asked my counselors how this might be brought to pass, Haman, that excelled in wisdom among us, and was approved for his constant goodwill and steadfast fidelity, and had the honor of the second place in the kingdom, declared unto us that in all nations throughout the world there was scattered a certain malicious people.
He called God's people malicious.
Malicious. That had laws contrary to all nations and continually despised the commandments of kings. You can be in the world, but not of the world. Mm-hmm. So as the uniting of our kingdoms, honorably intended by us, cannot go forward. Seeing then we understand that this people alone is continually in opposition unto all men, differing in the strange manner of their laws, and evil affected to our state, enemy of the state, working all the mischief they can, that our kingdom may not be firmly established.
But they called us malicious.
Right, we won't follow their rules, that's what it is. Verse 6, therefore have we commanded that all they that are signified in writing unto you, Haman, who is ordained over the affairs, and is next unto us, shall all with their wives and children be utterly destroyed by the sword of their enemies, without all mercy and pity, at the 14th day of the 12th month, Adar, of this present year.
Now remember, he's dreaming. These are dreams. He already seen what's going to fall on. Come on.
Verse 7, that they who of old and now also are malicious may in one day with violence go into the grave, and so ever hereafter cause our affairs to be well settled and without trouble. Then Mordecai thought upon all the works of the Most High, and made his prayer unto him, saying, O Master Yahweh, the King Almighty, for the whole world is in thy power. And if thou hast appointed to save Israel, there is no man that can gainsay thee.
See, so he's seeing these visions, and he's like, okay, all praise to you, Father. So he already seeing this vision before these things transpire. Come on.
Verse 10, for thou hast made heaven and earth, and all the wondrous things under the heaven. Thou art master of all things, and there is no man that can resist thee, which art the Most High. Thou knowest all things, and thou knowest, Master, that it was neither in contempt nor pride, nor for any desire of glory, that I did not bow down to proud Haman. For I could have been content with goodwill for the salvation of Israel, to kiss the soles of his feet. But I did this, that I might not prefer the glory of man above the glory of Yah.
Read that again.
But I did this, that I might not prefer the glory of man above the glory of Yah.
We should never do that.
No, no man worship.
Never. I don't care who it is.
Right.
Go ahead.
Neither will I worship any but thee, O Yah, neither will I do it in pride. And now, O Yahweh, our power and King, spare thy people, for their eyes are upon us to bring us to naught. Yea, they desire to destroy the inheritance that has been thine from the beginning.
They want to cut off God's chosen people. Once again, somebody trying to cut off his people.
Yeah. Despise not the portion which thou hast delivered out of Egypt for thine own self. Hear my prayer and be merciful unto thine inheritance. Turn our sorrow into joy, that we may live, O Yahweh.
Oh, please, Lord, I know you ain't brought me this far to drop me off here.
Right.
And praise thy name, and destroy not the mouths of them that praise thee, O Master. All Israel in like manner cried most earnestly unto the Most High, because their death was before their eyes.
Chapter 14. Queen Esther also, being in fear of death, resorted unto the Lord, and laid away her glorious apparel, and put on the garments of anguish and mourning. And instead of precious ointments, she covered her head with ashes and dung. And she humbled her body greatly, and all the places of her joy she filled with her torn hair. And she prayed unto the Lord God of Israel, saying, O my Lord, thou only art our King. Help me, desolate woman, which have no helper but thee.
Now she in the palace. And she say she desolate. Come on.
Verse 4, for my danger is in mine hand. From my youth up I have heard in the tribe of my family that thou, O Lord, tookest Israel from among all people, and our fathers from all their predecessors, for a perpetual inheritance, and thou hast performed whatsoever thou didst promise them. And now we have sinned before thee. Therefore hast thou given us into the hands of our enemies.
So she acknowledged why this happened. Huh? Our people done went off again, Father. Forsake us not. Go ahead.
Verse 7, because we worship their gods, O Lord, thou art righteous. Nevertheless, it satisfieth them not that we are in bitter captivity, but they have stricken hands with their idols, that they will abolish the thing that thou with thy mouth hast ordained, and destroy thine inheritance, and stop the mouth of them that praise thee, and quench the glory of thy house and of thine altar, and open the mouths of the heathen to set forth the praises of the idols, and to magnify a fleshly king forever. O Lord, give not thy scepter unto them that be nothing, and let them not laugh at our fall, but turn their device upon themselves, and make him an example that hath begun this against us. Remember, O Lord, make thyself known in time of our affliction, and give me boldness, O King of the nations, and Lord of all power. Give me eloquent speech in my mouth before the lion.
You hear that? Give me eloquent speech before the lion, the mouth of the lion. So even when you're in danger, the Most High can still, he can give you the right words to get you out of that.
Like when he tell you, when you
Hey,
deliver
I've been at gunpoint before, and somehow I walked away.
Verse 13 again. Give me eloquent speech in my mouth before the lion. Turn his heart to hate him that fighteth against us, that there may be an end of him, and of all that are like-minded to him. But deliver us with thine hand, and help me that am desolate, and which have no other helper but thee.
See, she in the palace and still saying she desolate. Huh? That's because don't none of that stuff mean nothing.
Right.
You can't take none of this with you. Right.
I was thinking about that came to mind that when you're trying to convince people, the hardest thing about convincing our people that we are who we are is to first convince them they're in captivity.
Mhm.
They think they got it going on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Stuff that they not in
I
captivity.
ain't in captivity. Man, I got a Cadillac truck. What you talking about? I ain't in no damn captivity. You can be in captivity if you want, but I'm gonna go and get this truck. Come on.
Verse
I'm not
15.
saying that it's wrong to have a Cadillac truck, but it's not your salvation.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Let's get that straight.
Verse 15. Thou knowest all things, O Lord. Thou knowest that I hate the glory of the unrighteous, and abhor the bed of the uncircumcised, and of all the heathen. Thou knowest my necessity, for I abhor the sign of my high estate, which is upon mine head in the days wherein I showed myself.
So thou knowest my necessity, for I abhor the sign of my high estate. Huh? These riches don't mean nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how we should all be looking at it. It ain't nothing wrong with having it, but if it's gone, it's gone.
Mm-hmm. Or your prestige positions.
Yeah, that position don't mean nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Where you going when it's over with?
Exactly.
Come on.
Verse 16 again. Thou knowest my necessity, for I abhor the sign of my high estate, which is upon my head in the days wherein I show myself, and that I abhor it as a mistress rag.
Huh?
And
She treat her high estate like a mistress rag. Huh? How many of us got that high mind about the stuff we get?
mm-hmm.
Do you treat the stuff you have like it's a mistress rag? It don't mean nothing, or do you love it? Huh? Because if you love it, then that means you'll cross a line for it.
Exactly.
But you won't cross that line for that mistress rag, though, will you?
So you trying to get as far away from that as you can. All right, it says, it says, and that I wear it not when I am in private by myself, and that thine handmaid hath not eaten at Haman's table, and that I have not greatly esteemed the king's feast, nor drunk the wine of the drink offerings. Neither had thine handmaid any joy since the day that I was brought hither to this present, but in thee, O Lord God of Abraham. O thou mighty God above all, hear the voice of the forlorn, and deliver us out of the hand of the mischievous, and deliver me out of my fear.
See, most of our people now, they'll be like, no, I can put up with this because I kind of got it going on.
Right.
You know, I'm eating good, got steaks and shrimps and stuff. Man, please.
Right. Right. And what the Jews being destroyed got to do with me.
Yeah, Jews being destroyed, you worried about what you got. Come on, man. What you got, brother? Yeah. Shit, pay their loans and everything.
You ain't paid it back.
Nope.
Chapter 15. And upon the third day, when she had ended her prayer, she laid away her mourning garments and put on her glorious apparel. And being gloriously adorned, after she had called upon Yah, who is the beholder and savior of all things, she took two maids with her, and upon the one she leaned, as carrying herself daintily, and the other followed, bearing up her train. And she was ruddy through the perfection of her beauty, and her countenance was cheerful and very amiable, but her heart was in anguish for fear. Then, having passed through all the doors, she stood before the king, who sat upon his royal throne, and was clothed with all his robes of majesty, all glittering with gold and precious stones, and he was very dreadful. Then lifting up his countenance that shone his majesty, he looked very fiercely upon her, and the queen fell down and was pale, and fainted, and bowed herself upon the head of the maid that went before her. Then Yah changed the spirit of the king into mildness.
Who did that?
Yah changed the spirit of the king into mildness.
The ruler of all things, huh?
That's right. Who in a fear leaped from his throne and took her into his arms till she came to herself again, and comforted her with loving words, and said to her, Esther, what is the matter? I am thy brother, be of good cheer. Thou shalt not die, though our commandment be general, come near. And so he held up his golden scepter and laid it upon her neck, and embraced her, and said, Speak unto me. Then said she unto him, I saw thee, my Lord, as an angel of Yah, and my heart was troubled for fear of thy majesty. For wonderful art thou, Lord, and thy countenance is full of grace. And as she was speaking, she fell down for faintness. Then the king was troubled, and all his servants comforted her.
Chapter 16. The great king Artaxerxes unto the princes and governors of 127 provinces from India unto Ethiopia, and unto all our faithful subjects greeting. Many, the more often they are honored with the great bounty of their gracious princes, the more proud they are waxing, and endeavor to hurt not our subjects only, but not being able to bear abundance, do take in hand to practice also against those that do them good, and take not only thankfulness away from among men, but also lift up with the glorious words of lewd persons that were never good. They think to escape the justice of God, that seeth all things and hateth evil. Oftentimes also fair speech of those that are put in trust to manage their friends' affairs hath caused many that are in authority to be partakers of innocent blood. And had
going to your head.
Mm-hmm.
That power going to your head.
Yeah.
Or his wife telling him to make them gallop.
Yeah. Go ahead.
And had enwrapped them in remediless calamities, beguiling with a falsehood and deceit of their lewd disposition, the innocence and goodness of princes. Now ye may see this, as we have declared, not so much by ancient histories as ye may, if ye search what hath been wickedly done of late through the pestilent behavior of them that are unworthily placed in authority. And we must take care for the time to come that our kingdom may be quiet and peaceable for all men, both by changing our purposes and always judging things that are evident with more equal proceeding. For Haman, a Macedonian, the son of Hammedatha, being indeed a stranger from the Persian blood, and far distant from our goodness, and as a stranger received of us, had so far forth obtained the favor that we showed toward every nation, as that he was called our father, and was continually honored of all men as the next person unto the king. But he, not bearing his great dignity, went about to deprive us of our kingdom and life, having by manyfold and cunning deceit sought of us the destruction as well of Mordecai, who saved our life and continually procured our good, as also of blameless Esther, partaker of our kingdom with their whole nation. For by these means he thought, finding us destitute of friends, to have translated the kingdom of the Persians to the Macedonians. But we find that the Jews, whom this wicked wretch hath delivered to utter destruction, or no evildoers, but live by most just laws, and that they be children of the Most High and most mighty living God, who hath ordered the kingdom both unto us and to our progenitors in the most excellent manner. Wherefore ye shall do well not to put in execution the letters sent unto you by Haman, the son of Hammedatha. For he that was the worker of these things is hanged at the gates of Susa with all his family.
With your shoe shine.
God, who ruleth all things, speedily rendering vengeance to him according to his deserts. Therefore ye shall publish the copy of this letter in all places, that the Jews may freely live after their own laws. And ye shall aid them, that even the same day, being the 13th day of the 12th month Adar, they may be avenged on them who in the time of their affliction shall set upon them. For Almighty God hath turned to joy unto them the day wherein the chosen people shall have purged. Ye shall therefore among your solemn feasts keep it in high day with all feasting, that both now and hereafter there may be safety to us and the well affected Persians, but to those which do conspire against us a memorial of destruction.
Right.
Therefore, every city and country whatsoever which shall not do according to these things shall be destroyed without mercy with fire and sword, and shall be made not only unpassable for men, but also most hateful to wild beasts and fowls forever.
That was beautiful.
Man, that was.
That was beautiful. But see how the faith in the Most High can get you out of something that's supposed to be down. It's supposed to be your downfall.
Yes, sir.
But you got faith in Him, and He bring you out of it. He can change the mind of the person you going and dealing with. You ain't supposed to think about, well, when I get to court, I'm gonna tell the judge this. No, let the Most High be your mouthpiece. Huh? I'm telling you, it works. Keep faith in the Most High, not in your own thoughts. Keep Him first. Give charity to other people. Look out for other people more than yourself. That's what the whole spirit of Purim is about. Looking out for others. Because she could have just said, oh, well, it ain't gonna affect me. I'm in the palace.
Exactly.
Once Mordecai got all them Jews and them colors on, he could say it all. Y'all on y'all own. But he didn't do that. He didn't think about himself. He saved his people. He helped to bring them up out of what they were doing.
You're right.
With the help of the Most High. He was being directed by the Most High. We just gotta listen. We all directed by it. We all gotta listen. Make right decisions instead of them lefts.
Yeah. Straight up.
But that's all I had. And we got my boy. If you wanna help y'all with some of this healing, it's been helping me out. I'm telling you. I got frankincense in my jaw right now. That's my tooth tripping.
I'm about to go home and put some in my jaw.
You want some? I got some. Yeah, but what's the closing prayer? Everybody get some understanding about Purim, though.
Yes, sir.
What we really doing it for? You know, because a lot of times, you know, people just take it for granted. You know, that everybody know. Everybody don't always know. But like I said before, my first two Purims, Day of Atonement, I did all the way wrong. Because I didn't know. But once I knew and was presented with information, I was able to correct that matter and been doing it right ever since. Because everything we read in here is supposed to be forever. How long is that? Yeah, but with that, I ain't got no more. You gonna go and get this open prayer. I know it's kind of early, but it looks like she got a lot up on that board for y'all. Get some of that healing going, because we gotta heal ourselves. A lot of the stuff they give us, it ain't for healing. It's to keep us addicted to what they make. It's a Band-Aid. Let's put a Band-Aid on it and keep them coming back. They won't let us be drug dealers on the streets, but they are behind the desk.
Hey, come on, man.
Hey, come on, what? I'm just speaking the truth.
Hey,
Stevie Wonder could see it. That's why he left. He over in Africa.
man.
Yeah,
But
we'll close out with 44.
we're gonna close up Psalm 44 and then
Yep.
let Imam Farm get some time in.
Yeah.
I had a different class, but Pure was just passed a couple of days ago. I felt it. We got a lot of new faces.
Right.
New people coming in and out. We better touch up on it. It hasn't been touched on in a couple of years.
All praise. All praise.
That's what's up, y'all. All right, we're gonna close out with the Most High's permission. In the name of His only begotten Son, our Lord and Savior, our uncrowned King, our Redeemer, through whom all things are possible.
Yes, sir.
Yahweh Shah HaMashiach, long live the King.
Long live the King.
Reading in the book of Psalms, the 44th chapter, one of my favorites. And it reads, "We have heard with our ears, O Yah. Our fathers have told us what work thou didst in their days, in the times of old. How thou didst drive out the heathen with thy hand, and plantest them. How thou didst afflict the people, and cast them out. For they got not the land in possession by their own sword, neither did their own arm save them. But thy right hand, and thine arm, and the light of thy countenance, because thou hadst a favor unto them. Thou art my king, O Yah. Command deliverances for Jacob. Through thee will we push down our enemies. Through thy name will we tread them under that rise up against us. For I will not trust in my bow, neither shall my sword save me. But thou hast saved us from our enemies, and hast put them to shame that hated us. In Yah we boast all the day long, and praise thy name forever. Selah.
Selah.
But thou hast cast off and put us to shame, and goest not forth with our army. Thou makest us to turn back from the enemy, and they which hate us spoil for themselves. Thou hast given us like sheep appointed for meat, and hast scattered us among the heathen. Thou sellest thy people for naught, and dost not increase thy wealth by their price. Thou makest us a reproach to our neighbors, a scorn and a derision to them that are round about us. Thou makest us a byword among the heathen, a shaking of the head among the people. My confusion is continually before me, and the shame of my face hath covered me. For the voice of him that reproacheth and blasphemeth by reason of the enemy and avenger. All this is come upon us, yet have we not forgotten thee, neither have we dealt falsely in thy covenant. Our heart is not turned back, neither have our steps declined from thy way. Though thou hast sore broken us in the place of dragons, and covered us with the shadow of death, if we have forgotten the name of our Elohim, or stretched out our hands to a strange God, shall not Yah search this out? For he knoweth the secrets of the heart. Yea, for thy sake are we killed all the day long. We are counted as sheep for the slaughter. Awake, Why sleepest thou, O Yahweh? Arise, cast us not off forever. Wherefore hidest thou thy face, and forgettest our affliction and oppression? For our soul is bowed down to the dust, our belly cleaveth unto the earth. Arise, arise for our help, and redeem us for thy mercy's sake. Hallelujah! Say God!
That was a beautiful song to that story. That was beautiful.
Yeah.
Been on it with 2 years. I've been in the walk. I got these 2 little girls. But you know what? You gotta go to the church. Do you need me for something? Do you need me for something?
I guess.
You need me. I'm gonna have to stay around. But you got it. You got it. We're gonna keep talking because the crazy thing. We're gonna make sure everybody. The olive beer, that's good too.
Yeah.
They got a drink. They got the little chunks in it.
Yeah, they
I
do.
love it. It's good.
I said next time I'm gonna bring it.
It's good. It's really good.
Next time, you know what? I'm gonna bring some next week. What I'm trying not to. If I get week after next,
That's really good.
so I'm gonna try to bring some. I love you.
She got a good thing right there.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. See you later.
This my other.
See you later. I love
Say
you.
bye-bye. Yeah, man. But I got 14. Son 22. That's my baby. She got me. And then my girl, we got 6 girls, 2 boys. I gotta teach you about those. Come on, Bill. Teach you about. Come on, Bill. See you, Bill.
Are we on? We are on? We are. Blessed be He. Hallelujah to King eternal triumphant. Is it on? Who rules and reigns in splendor, glory, might, and power. Blessed be you, Father. Open our eyes. who allow us not to walk in our own evil inclinations, but to walk according to your purpose, your plan, your plan. May your kingdom come in us as it is for you, God, for your name's sake. For your glory. Amen. Blessings, family, this day. Going to be my motto today. Blessings this day. I just want to give praise to the Most High for who He is, for what He's done, and what He's continued to do. The Master there's a word that I really love, that He has provided needs of the field for the healing of the nation. And because of that, all things that He's created pertaining to life and godliness. I just thank the Creator for that. Today, I've had several people mention to me about Candida. And so many had asked about it. I just want to make sure that everyone is clear on this. So there's only a few things that I wrote down, a few things that we've written down that can help you might want to be interested in, okay? Candida, let me say this to you. Candida affects not just young women with, as we say, UTIs. I want to keep that kind of virus for little ears. But it also affects men as well. When you have people with acne, you might want to check your Candida. Or if you're kind of foggy, no, you don't. Fogginess, fogginess, or you see people with not very good breath, or you might be sleeping, and those that are snoring, you might want to check the Candida. Make sure you check their Candida. If you open their mouth, even babies have this. If you open your mouth and you see that coating on your tongue, try not to be very foul, but the coating, a white coating, just thick coating on the tongue, you might want to check Candida. Now, here's an issue, young people. Candida Candida is not all bad. It can affect your body if you have an overgrowth. That's what affects. The overgrowth is what you want to deal with, because not all Candida is considered bad.
What is Candida?
Candida is a yeast that's built up in the body, and it's overgrown. So when you have yeast that has gotten so to the point whereby it will affect, it's gotten into your body, so it'll affect your body so much so for women, it comes out and affects down, the primary areas. There are some things that you can do for that. Now, Candida not only affects young people, but it also affects older people as well. When you always have a cold or a virus, you're easily to catch viruses and colds and things like that. You might want to check the Candida. Now, we mentioned earlier, I want to tell you guys, I do love you and I appreciate you all for watching. Thank you all for my heart. You all are my heart. I want to tell you all of you. So remember, we were talking at one point, and I was telling you guys about these pH strips. Remember, we talked about the pH strips? And with the pH strips, we want to make sure that we are at least 7. That's normal. Okay, that keeps the yeast out of your body. Now, if you go too far over, it could feed. But if you go too far below, it's really not really healthy. If you go too low below, young people, it can affect your muscles. It can affect your eyes. It affects you, as we stated, continue to get viruses where you're getting colds at all times and you can't quite shake that cold. So that'll affect, so you might want to check that. Eczema. I'm coming out with something really soon for eczema. But eczema, if you have any issues with eczema, you might want to check your pH balance. Skin is over dry. You might want to check that. That with the pH balance, and also make sure there's no Candida affected. Now we're going to talk about a few things real quick while the children are not paying attention real quick. Ladies, you can do this, and there's something that I want you all to do. Now, there's some coconut. Now, you all know what this is. These are our pads. These are our little pads. Now, I want you all, if you all have children around, please make sure they're not paying too much attention unless they already know about these things. Now, ladies, this is just a quick remedy. This is not something that you want to, or you could do this when you have those issues. Take one of your pads and make sure you have a little coconut oil. And take the coconut oil. Now, this is tea tree oil. Tea tree oil is our friend. Yes. Exactly. Tea tree oil for eczema. You're exactly right. We're going to hit that in a few moments, and you make me proud. Thank you for reminding me. It's excellent, and you want to mix, when you use the tea tree oil, mix it with coconut oil, you can, but ladies, don't use lavender in that particular place. You want to use the tea tree oil, and I'll show you how to do it. You want to take a couple drops. Are you close enough?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Want to take a couple drops, and you want to put it. Thank you, love. Put a little bit here, drops around the outer part. Take the other part, and I'm sorry, I'm going to get you men. I'm sorry. I know this might be uncomfortable for a moment, but it's only going to last for a moment. And take coconut oil, and take a little coconut oil and put it in the middle. And when you put on your panty liners, it will help with that with that fungus, which we call yeast infection. If there's an excessive amount of yeast infection, okay? That's just something you got. I'm sorry, please forgive me, but that was something I wanted to say. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So remember that. We're going to come back to the tea tree oil in a moment, but that was something that I needed you ladies to be aware of, that you can do for yeast infection. When you have an overgrowth of bacteria, and you know how sometimes it can be. It has a certain fragrance to it, and right on down the line. So, any questions? Nobody has questions. If you want to talk to me, we talk later about it. Mom.
So they are able to use this.
They're able to use that. You're able to use it during the monthly and after the monthly. Yes. But when you use it, do it like 1 week on, 1 week off. Once that you've got it, or for some, it won't even take that long. It'll take a couple days. It might take 4 days. And if it takes only 4 days, that's fine. But we want to get to the root of it. So once you get to the root of it, you won't need this part, okay?
Was that like the same as, what is it, what do you call it?
Candida.
Candida. Is that the same as like
Yeast infection.
only yeast infection? What about the overgrowth when people, doctors say it's hair bumps, but is that the same?
That's about the same.
Okay.
So when you have hair bumps there, or whatever,
Yeah.
you can put a little bit of, as we said, coconut oil in the center, and then a couple drops on the outer sides of the pad, and then just wear it like that until it clears up. Now, that's for there. Thank you. And don't worry. So that's one of the things. Ladies and gentlemen, you know that yeast infection affects the male as well as female. You do know that, right? You know that.
I heard that.
Yes.
I don't know my experience, but I heard that.
Yes. And the reason why I'm hitting on this because both male and female have approached me on that. Oh, that's what. Tell me, don't worry. So this affects male and female. So it could be men, even if you're at a point and you have a certain bump that's come on your body some kind of way, and it's getting bigger and bigger, and you're wondering, I don't know what to do concerning this big bump. Take a little bit of tea tree oil, and I'll let you all smell it for those who don't know how it smells. You can take a little bit of tea tree oil, Tea tree oil. Okay, and what you can do, you can take a little bit of this tea tree oil, put it around the bump itself, the bump itself, and what it will do, it will allow that bacteria to just come. You give it a couple of days, if not a day or 2 days, it draws it out. And when it draws it out, once it pops, and you can push that little, that little head right on out, put a little bit of tea tree oil right there on it, and it will continue to draw the rest of it out, so it won't be an issue. You can also do clove oil, family. You want to show, this is clove oil, this is clove oil. Please excuse me, I didn't get a chance to put it in anything. Yes, I didn't get a chance to put it in anything, so I make my own clove oil. And so I didn't get a chance to put it in something that you all can, a small amount. So I'm gonna pass this around. If you'd like, if you're daring, you could try a little clove oil and put it on the tip of your finger and see how hot it is. This is clove. I know you guys say, Emma Barb, you put cloves in your mouth. Every time we see you, you have cloves in your mouth. It's true. I always keep cloves in my mouth. And it's because one thing I just like to taste. Next thing is that it kills bacteria no matter where you are. So you can keep it in your mouth. It fights against, cloves fight against yeast infection and mold. It fights against mold. Cloves fights against a lot of bacteria. So when you put it on your mouth, carry it around your mouth, people can have colds. And you can walk, I have walked right through. I've walked right through. You can put a little on your finger. Because, can you smell? Take a little bit on, take a little bit on your finger, and you can do like this. It's very strong. And you can
put this in your mouth.
You can take that and put a little bit on in your mouth. You can do that if you'd like to taste it. As a matter of fact, there's a knife or something, or a little spoon over there. You all can get a little spoon and grab some of that, and you can see what it really tastes like. This is all clove, and it's very potent. You can walk in a room, as we stated, and when you walk in the room, people can have colds and viruses. You walk in the room and you're immune when you keep cloves in your mouth. It's for the immune system. It boosts your immune system during that time. What do you think? It's powerful. It burns too. It burns. This potency, it burns. And so just put it on your tongue. A little bit on your tongue. If you're daring, you can put a little bit on your lip, but it does burn. But it's kind of burn. Let's say it's hot. It is almost like it. The real stuff. Because today back in the day. And you know what? Did I shake it up? I want you all to shake it up a little bit. Use your spoon to shake it up a little bit, because when you shake it up, you'll really taste the potency. You gotta shake it up, and it'll do it. It is a blast. It'll blast everything out. And so you want to do that. One of the things I wanted to share with you guys, what you're smelling right now is lemongrass, and it's lemongrass. It has eucalyptus in there. I want to, first of all, let me do a shout out for my brother before I continue on. My brother made me a blackboard.
Who made that blackboard?
You know my brother. I just want y'all to, my brother, I just want to shout out. My brother made this blackboard for me. I don't have to carry my blackboard around, and I just take a picture of what I want to do at home, and then blessings.
All praises.
Isn't this beautiful? First of all, isn't this beautiful? Look you all. I'm gonna try and hint him into making our whole wall. Can I be greedy? I want to be greedy and take the whole wall. But my brother, look at this. I just want to thank you. Thank you.
Well, it's required when the Most High bless us with certain talents and gifts. It behooves us to utilize those blessings and gifts for the greater good, you know. And it has to be. We have to look at it as a gift that's greater than ourselves, you know. And if it's something that He has blessed us with, then it also has to be something that we're in a position that we can give away and not expect nothing back. You know what I'm saying? So I tell my children who are also artists that if you feel that it's something that you can at some point give away, then it's not for you. You know, because the blessings come back, you know, triple fold. You know, and so these are ways that we bless through our gifts and our talents, you know, beyond making our own little income and things of that nature. So, Sister, I mean, but eventually we're going to put a mural up throughout the whole building. And that's what we want to get to. So this is just the start of it, y'all. I'll praise.
Thank you.
Oh, you're more than welcome.
You make me proud. Make me look good. I love my family. I love my family. So, yes, sir.
I did something the other week. I don't know if you agree with this. I got the name of it, but it's where you go and you put your foot in some water.
Yes.
And they put some kind of, I don't know, salt, some I don't know what they put some stuff in the drain.
Yes. Yes.
It actually works.
It does work. What it is you can draw any toxins and things like that out of your body from your feet. Remember the last time we talked, we said that the feet has every part of the body is connected to the feet. Your feet and your hands. The ball, I walk on the ball of my feet, but it gets me in trouble sometimes. But that the ball of your feet is your shoulders, that affects your shoulders. When certain parts of your feet is your stomach, certain parts of your feet is your back of your kidneys and your liver. The same way with your fingers. Certain parts of your fingers are your eyes. Certain part of your ears. Certain part are your sinuses. There are certain parts that you can do this, ladies. And I thank you for bringing that up, my brother. But you could take your finger, just a part of your fingers, and you could see this part of your fingers, and it said that you could do, this is what Indians do. Just rub this like this, and they would rub it when they were nervous. But they come to find out that all of this is connected to your hair, and it causes the hair to grow. Can you believe that? Yeah, you can take, you want to watch how, but you don't do it hard. You do it lightly. Where's my mom? Where's my mom? My mom left. Come here, Naomi. Let me use you.
Gonna learn to stay back and back.
So what you're gonna do, you take this is part, sure, beautiful man. Take this part of your fingernails, this part right up in here, and you're gonna rub, see all this up in here? It's the first part where you see this color right from the nail. And you're gonna take that part, and you can even go down lower, up toward the finger itself. There's my mom. And you're gonna rub that part, all this part, with the other fingernails. And it stimulates the root of your hair, the scalp, and it causes it to grow. Yeah, it works. So what you're gonna do?
He's young and he's getting a hole in his afro, so he's like, he's getting depressed. He's like, I'm too young to have a hole in my afro.
and it does work. So it's like this. Let me show you. Like this. Like I'm gonna put on top of her finger, just like this. See? Just like that. And rub it. But a lot of people used to do it when they were, thank you, my mom. A lot of people do it with nerves. but it actually works. You can just rub. You have to lightly. Don't rub very hard. You rub lightly. And not only does it affect your root, the stimulation of your scalp, but it also calms the peace in your body. You know, another thing, if you want your babies, you're wanting them restful and you're wanting them kind of to rest. Remember I told you there was one place you can do the ears and you can put them to sleep? Well, there's another place you can do. Have you ever seen the babies and you go, I don't want to mess up your eyebrows. You have gorgeous eyebrows. So what you can do, take the part and just above the eye, like, bring me this baby. Come here, love bug. Come here. Can I use you for a second? Emma, I love you. I just want to show you the people how beautiful you are. Okay? See, she was gorgeous, but you're growing up into that, okay? So what you're gonna do, you're gonna hold your head toward Emma, just up, just like that. And you just hold your head up so they can see you, and just rub this, and you can literally I shouldn't say hypnotize them, but you can give them to a tranquil mode, and they will go to sleep. Just rub that. And let them just right at the eyebrow, and you can literally, while they're you're right with you, and they're talking to you. I've put our son to sleep so many times. Just here, just rub, or either right here, right there, and they fall asleep. He would stop talking in the middle of the conversation, and just rub that. And don't forget the ears. I'm just going to use you one more time, okay? Your ears, rub. Turn this way for Eve. Rub, going down like this. Rub, or either just like this. Just rub, and they will go to sleep. Tranquil. You see how she bent down like that? She was ready. Those are just some little hints. Also, family, you can take a little tea tree oil for those babies who have thrush under their tongue, which is yeast infection or yeast candida. You can take a little bit of this, put it in under their feet, but make sure you use a third coconut oil. And you can even use it for men or women or children, preferably children. You know the size of their feet, and you can take that. This is not good. The reason why I'm using my adult model is because she's at that age to it. This won't affect her as hard as a baby. I promise to give her back. So underneath the feet, family, take a little bit of tea tree oil, and I do not specify different brands. I'm just saying, don't use any, I'm not promoting any brands. I'm just,
It's any cheap.
but you want to make sure it's real. It's the organic, okay? Organic. You can take tea tree oil, enough like this, and under their feet, when they have candida or thrush, rub underneath their feet. And because everything, remember we just said everything is connected to the feet and the hands, underneath the feet, and take a little bit of coconut oil and mix it in like this, but more tea tree than coconut so that it doesn't burn. They won't say I'm high, because you can really taste this once you go for the feet. My brother just said you can detox from the feet, which is exactly right, which is what I do to my 70-something-year-old husband. I have to do that. But put it under there and take the coconut and just rub underneath the feet. And it draws the yeast from the body.
And what's that from?
This is tea tree oil.
Tea tree oil.
And
you rub it on the bottom of the
on
foot.
the bottom of the foot. Take a little bit of coconut oil and a little tea tree oil and rub it on the bottom of the feet. Do 2 to 1. So 2 drops, you're gonna do 2 drops of coconut to 1 drop.
On the children's size it on your feet.
Under the bottom of the feet.
On the children's feet.
Yes,
Hey, Ma, I got some, I bought some hyssop
You bought his, ooh, make me proud.
and the liquid.
Yes.
So how do I use it?
For hyssop, you know what hyssop does.
I know it's spiritual. I know it heals the body and the soul. I mean, the brain.
Yes.
Everything.
Yes.
But how should I use it?
Okay.
I haven't opened it. I want.
You haven't opened it yet. What form do you have it? The essential oil? Do you have the extract? Do you have the tea? What?
I have the extract.
Yeah, the extract. You can take a little extract, put about 4 to 7 drops in your water.
Okay.
Warm water. You can make it like a little tea.
Okay.
And drink it that way. You can do it that way. And if you don't like the taste, add a little lemon to it. Or, but if you're gonna use a sweetener, try to use either stevia, but you know me, I do, you all know me by now, I do agave. But they say you're not supposed to do that, but I don't use a whole lot, and so it's what it is.
About local honey?
Local honey is excellent. It's better than using, and that's the next thing I want to tell you about too on my board. Now, local honey is better than any other tea that's outside of your own state, let alone city. You want it in your own environment because the bees are going to have what you need for the allergies. It's going
to that state.
Yes, according to that. Local honey, all over everywhere. You can get it anywhere.
Everywhere now. I mean,
especially Schnooks has it. They local honey, but make sure they say it's local honey and look on the label and say it's from St. Louis or surrounding areas that you recognize in our own area.
When I gave a zip code.
Some have the zip code excellent. Now you know what, you can take the honey and you can make a mouthwash for your candida. Did you know that? You could make sure it's a local honey. And then you can take 2 things, and I'm starting to turn my back to you. You can take 2 things. You could do local honey, and then you could add a little thyme or a little lemongrass, now check this out. This is my favorite thing that I love this part right here. Or either add it with your Pardo Arco. And I'm going to tell you about Party Arco. I want everyone to take a little drink. My mama will be pouring some for you. This is PAU, P-A-U. Second is D, and then it's ARCO. Excellent for candida, yeast overgrowth. Because certain amount of yeast is not bad because it helps the intestine. It helps the body get rid of some of the other things in your body. It's good for the flora. It's good for flora. Now, it may not taste too good because there's nothing added to it. So it's by itself. But let me tell you what it does. Let me get to one of show y'all my aid. My blackboard aid. Pardo Arco is good antibacterial. It will kill yeast, candida, yeast overgrowth. And remember, we said it can be in your body. And one way of showing what it will do. Now, it's like I said, it's not really a taste that you would, if you're not used to it, you're not gonna say, I can do without it, but that's your friend. Pardo Arco is your friend. It is your friend. When I say it's your friend, Pardo Arco is a monster. You say awful, but guess what? It is a boost. It is a monster when it comes to killing yeast overgrowth.
In my life where I'm past the taste of things when I'm trying to get healthy.
Yes.
For the sake of health.
Yes.
I can care less about the taste.
See,
if I know it's gonna benefit.
If I know it's gonna benefit. You making me proud. If you know what it does, you can train your taste buds. You can train your taste buds.
A black coffee.
You really can. And what it does, let me tell you what it does now, guys. This is wonderful. For men that are having certain, let's just say it helps their stomach. It helps the men part, it helps that men goodness. You know what I'm saying? It helps the man goodness.
Fertility.
It helps the man. But this is just now. Next week I should have brought what it looks like. I have the raw root at home. I should have brought it. So next time I'll bring it. Okay. Next 2 weeks, I'll bring it. Part of ARCO is anti-cancer, antibacterial, antimicrobial. It helps asthma. It's for the lungs and the bronchial area. It helps when you got joint pain. This is part of ARCO, the best kept secret. Let me say this to you. This is the only country where when we first started off, we started off with herbs. We started off with leaves. We did not start off with processed foods or anything like that. This is the only country that we now know that they don't, that you can't go back out in your backyard and you grow some chickweed. This chickweed is good for when you want to go on your fast and you say you need a day that you want to go fast, and it helps with, takes your appetite away. And it's a booster. But anyway, it's about 20 things chickweed will do for you. But anyway, let me say this to you. So it helps with your eyes because it's packed. Part of ARCO is packed with vitamin A. It helps with the eyes. It tones. It purifies the blood. Yes. How much does it cost? For me to make you some? We'll talk after. This is good for your blood. If you're going through pain, if you have sore throat, your eyes are hurting, you have a headache, someone mentioned they have migraines. If you're dealing with migraines or muscle pains in your body, Pardue Arco, remember that name, P-A-U-D-A-R-C-O, help with muscle pain. They say, they were telling me just this past week, I go to a chiropractor, and he says, Miss Bark, you got to let that big purse go. And I'm like, but I carry everything in my purse. I don't know, people might need something. And I always, you know the mom, always got stuff for anybody. See, he says, you gotta let it go. So it was like a little painful and all that, and I was doing all this kind of thing. Well, guess what? I drank some Pardue Arco this week, and I drank it this morning before I left, and a little bit before. And so look, I needed help lifting doing like this. You all know I've been writing, right? This is what Pardue Arco will help you do. He says, don't do too much of it until we get all this other stuff up. We're good. But
Where do we find that?
Pardue Arco. You can catch it you can go online and get some. But when you make it, there's a certain way you have to make it, Fanny.
Oh, okay.
When you make it, call me, text me, catch me next week, and I'll tell you how to make it. Okay, for the same time. Antiviral, antifungal, it gets rid of look, the green worms, those other little worms in your body that you want to get rid of. Pardue Arco. You know, everybody has a certain parasites in their body. She just want to hang, it's okay. She just want to hang. So all those different parasites and you have parasites in your body. I'll give you an example. Have you ever woke up one morning and you were like, your eyes were full of mucus?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh man, I must have slept too hard. And it's like, what is this? And you feel like there's something crawling around in there? Yeah. Who's ever felt like they've had something crawling around in there?
I ain't never felt nothing crawling.
Oh, you know what? Or but different things, you know what I'm saying? When you get older, you'll see, you're here. But different things like that. Things like that, certain things you know that you have, or if you're having a problem with your stool, or someone was telling me, I had someone to call me in Texas, and they said, Bar, I only go to the bathroom once a day, or I go once every 2 days. And then I know someone in particular told me, Ms. Bar, I only go once every week. Once a week. I'm like, Okay, let's work on some things. So we still have to. See, I got there are some questions that we have to go through in order for us to really know what to do. But one of the things, family, is that we want to make sure that you are aware of that if you only have a movement once a day, you want to drink a little part of Arco because it helps everything move right along. Okay, it's part of Arco, and I'll show you in a moment. So one of the things that, before I get to this part, which is my favorite part, let me finish on this end. Family, when we say the leaves of the field are good for the healing of the nations, it's true. The leaves of the field is good for the healing of the nations. So I have people calling me, you'd be surprised, that say to me, I'm dealing with diabetes and different things like that. When you're dealing with diabetes, one of the things you might want to check and see whether you have a yeast overgrowth, because there's some things that when you say certain things, it makes you want to say, okay, what is this? Do you have pimples? When you wake up in the morning, do you have the high mucus in your eyes? Do you always keep a cold? Do you always, just some questions that you want to ask, especially when you're past 40, especially. Do I say 40?
Yeah, we know.
Yeah, so you might want to do, now let me say this to you too. Part of Arco does this and more. So you want to make sure some things, you want to eat what I call soil-based foods. So soil-based foods, I'm just saying those things that grow on the ground.
Right.
Then you gotta wash. Soil-based foods.
So
Potatoes. You said something that makes me proud. Potatoes are wonderful. They're called purple. I love purple and red potatoes. Let me tell you the reason why. What you say, brother? You're making me proud. Purple potatoes. If you open a purple potato, thank you for coming, sis, and my brothers. I appreciate your support. When you eat purple potatoes, that is so high in minerals that you would not want to believe. We have purple, it's called a Japanese purple potato, and it's white on the inside. Sweet. If you put it in the conventional oven, it is so sweet. It tastes almost like squash. Now I love potatoes. Yes.
Okay, so I need some part of also and a purple potato.
I'll bring you some purple potatoes. Yes, they do. Yes, they can. I'm gonna check them.
No, they have them out.
Yeah,
They have them out.
they have them out.
They purple.
They purple
look
on
like
the outside
they just purple.
and
They're
white
like
on the
deep
inside.
purple. Deep.
And they are fantabulous.
That's excellent, man.
Excellent. You've making me
Make
proud.
mashed potatoes, they taste like any other potato.
Tastes just like, but they have
They're
more
high in antioxidants,
fiber.
vitamins and minerals.
Go ahead, bro.
They triple.
Triple
what's in,
any other.
Idaho and the yellow potatoes and all that, they triple.
They do. Quadruple.
I mean,
Quadruple.
probably in Edomite land, yeah. You probably-
Yes, ma'am.
Somebody's got a question online. They asked her about how to stop coughing when your kids get sick.
How to stop coughing? Easily. Remember I said the leaves of the field are good for the healing of nations?
Yes.
Family, I'm gonna try to get you all to start keeping herbs in your house. There's some things, and I know you all know that I love cilantro, basil, parsley. I love my green, and you know, I'm in. I got you.
Oh, no, I got parsley at home.
Yes,
One, if I've been eating parsley that's raw.
make me
Actually,
proud.
acquired taste for it. It's pretty awesome.
Yes, you do.
Parsley, we use cilantro on almost everything we cook.
You all are making me proud. I take my hands off you all. But guess what? Guess what that would do? If you do the cilantro, parsley, thyme, so what you can do, family, and oregano. Family, what you can do is take the thyme to keep you from coughing, thyme, parsley, and a little cilantro. Now, if you don't have the parsley and cilantro, just take a little thyme, and if you have dill. Make sure you have these things in your pantry. You can get it dry or you can get it fresh. Take a little bit of time. The amount of time that you need in this is maybe this a little bit less than what you see here. Put it in a pot. If I can say the kind of pot that you see on my table over there, this size, half of this size, and put it in a pot. When you put it in a pot, boil it. But try to use a glass pot, something like that, but not the
One that flakes off.
right. One that flake. Thank you, Elijah. Know what I'm talking about. Make sure you have that. We keep glass pots at home, so we use that. Do that, and then you can boil it. When you boil it, make sure you boil it for about 3 to 4 minutes. When you see the green coming up, when you see the green coming like almost like this, lighter than this, then what you're gonna do, take it and put a little bit of, you got my mama? Okay. Put a little bit of lemon or just a slight sweetener if you like. You know me. Honey, agave, stevia, sweeten, and then drink it. It will coat your throat immediately. It'll take the cough away. That's number one. For number two, make sure if you go to the store, make sure you can get your zinc lozenges. Remember we talked about the zinc lozenges a while back. Zinc boosts your immune system. Zinc is your friend. Zinc, remember we talked about all the things, all the foods that zinc includes. Zinc has when the cold season, you want your zinc. Go out with your zinc. Or another thing, you can take cloves. Your cloves that I showed you that I made my oil from, take cloves and make a tea out of it. And when you take the tea and make a tea out of it, what you do, you can drink that with lemon or coconut milk. Let's get rid of the animal products out of your, try to get it out of your diet, please. Meat is not my friend. I love meat is not my friend. You all know that. But anyway, use a lot of.
That's gonna take me a minute.
I know. Meat, let me just say that for me, meat is not my that's right. Oh, next class is cooking class. How about that? We'll show you how to do that. Next thing, family, if you're gonna do, I love cod, and this is the reason why, as a reminder, I love cod. I do, this is just codfish. Make sure you get it from a place where you're reputable, right? Which is clean food. And if you're gonna do meat, if you're gonna do cod, halibut, things like that, you want to do that, okay?
That's pretty good.
Tilapia, no, please don't.
No, that's a man-made.
That's man-made cod and, catfish and shark is what it is.
Don't believe the hype, bro.
Catfish and shark.
Advertise it as a
Salmon,
healthy fish.
if you eat,
That's a Frankenstein fish.
if you eat salmon, make sure that you get the mercury from the back. You know what I mean? The mercury, the dark stuff that goes down the spine of it, that black goop. Don't eat that black goop. That's mercury. And that's other toxins. But anyway, I'm just on you all. I'm just.
They charge us that much for their
The next thing I want you guys to do while you're listening, I need you all to taste. These are, you already know what these are. These are your peppers. So I also, now for kids, instead of eating candy, and the reason why I'm saying this is for a reason, I'll come to you in a moment. I want you all, if they're gonna give it to kids, give them the dried fruit. This is kiwi. Remember we talked about kiwi? This is what kiwi looks like. Sliced. Eyes. For your eyes and all the parts. This is wonderful for the body. Kiwi. These are peppers. Please excuse my hands. These are peppers. I washed them when I was over there.
It tastes good too.
Peppers are wonderful, okay? Oh, I forgot I'm on the air. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Hey, Rachel Ray do it.
You can have Family, red, they come in different colors. But guess what? They're packed in vitamin C. Vitamin C is good because you want to boost your immune system. Always with that. So I'm gonna pass in, this is what turmeric looks like. In case some want to know.
A lot of people shade that off today.
Yes, they do. And the reason why I did it this way, so you can see what it looks like on the inside and the outside. And they do shade them.
Yeah, that's what
It kind of look like.
That's what it looks like in powder form. I mean, it's a little golden.
Right, more golden, but.
It's true. Exactly. You make me proud.
Yeah, I use turmeric in my coffee. I put the turmeric in my coffee.
Make me look good. If you're gonna drink coffee, you might as well put turmeric in it. If you're gonna
Turmeric and black oil.
Black seed oil, yes.
That's another thing we're gonna talk about. Family, this is pomelo. Do you know what, anybody heard of pomelo? Pomelo is that, you know when you have kids and they want to eat the whole orange? If it's organic, you can give it to them. If it's not, you want to make sure that the outside is what they call the zest.
Right, yep.
But the rest of the part, the pomelo looks just like an orange. And it has thick skin. The white part of the pomelo is what you're supposed to be eating. And the outside. And this is fantabulous. This is vitamin C. It will boost your immune system so that these things are things that you want to do when people have thrush or the babies have thrush. Something fun for them when they have thrush or when they have overgrowth yeast infection or overgrowth yeast in our bodies, ladies, in that time of the month. So I just want to pass this out so that you all can be eating on that. The next thing I want you all to be aware, now these are just things that, something real simple that you would say, how can this help with an overgrowth? How can all these things help with yeast overgrowth? Family, it works. So, on this side, stick right with your neck. The next thing, family, you know, someone was telling me, well, what do I eat? You know, remember I mentioned you all, we're going to have seeds. Family, men, eat your seeds. Seeds are good for diabetes, high blood pressure, cholesterol. Men, when you're having issues with your diabetes and different things like that, remember I said we want to carry celery? We want celery. Thank you. Thank you.
You can buy it in a pack like that from stores.
Yeah.
Really, with all those colors. What is that?
Pomelo.
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 It comes in a little packet or what?
It comes in a packet, and sometimes I like to make it myself. You all like that?
My son for candy.
Yeah, instead of candy. These are some things you want to give your children. My babies came in, I said, you all want some dried fruit? And they said, yes. So this is pomelo. You can get it green, orange, or yellow. But they're the hull, what people say the hull of the orange. So when you see the orange, the pomelo is about this big. No, that's kiwi.
After 8 o'clock, the day go pomelo. Well, you better eat that kiwi, you didn't touch it. Don't be double dipping. What's wrong with you?
Family, yeah, I love you. So the pomelo will be this big. You'll see a pomelo in the store to be this big. But by the time you open it and you get the orange itself out, the pomelo itself, it's this small. That big.
I mean, now they eat that, you ain't gonna want the melon.
And it's
Throw the melon away.
right away. And you order, got you.
Now somebody so-called normal will look and say, man, something wrong with them people. They throwing the fruit away.
And eat it right. But see, they don't know, and they don't know this is the real stuff. But, and if you all want to have one bite, someone wants a pineapple, dry pineapple, you can have that as well. The next thing and these things are hot. Now, these are just things that help with overgrowth yeast, can overgrowth yeast. The next thing I want to share with you guys. Do you know our lemons are your friends?
Yes, ma'am.
Lemons are your friend. You want lemon. Tell my brother, how's it?
How's it work?
It's good.
Have a short throat?
Yeah. Sore throat. Okay, in pieces. Lemons are your friends, family. Lemons with thrush, all that is your friend. You want to add lemons. You know, in the mornings, I don't know about you, but I'll take cayenne pepper. And I'll take my garlic. And I'll take a lemon and put it all in one. And I will actually, and I will take that and I would do it like a shot, because I mix it in. I'll do like garlic, and then I'll press it. My husband likes to chop his up, and throw it back like a peel. Guess what? Garlic is good for overgrowth yeast.
I believe like the whole piece, like a whole garlic.
You can take like a clove of it, a clove of it. I use 2. My husband only likes 1, and sometimes I'll even do 3. It's not going to kill you, but it kills you yeast. It puts that yeast in check. Overgrowth yeast infection. Men and women, babies. You want to help a baby, and they have that on the coating on their tongue. You said, what can I do with that? And they're over the age of 2, because you don't want to give them honey when they're 1 and under. So if they're over the age of 2, give them, and they love lemon, honey, and put a little bit of ginger. Now, what would bust? Another thing that would bust out candida. Garlic, ginger are busters. They will bust that up when you add ginger, garlic to it, along with all that. In a couple days, you're good. Clove. Clove is, okay, you can use the clove of garlic. You can use that. That busts it up. You can use clove, the regular clove that I make with the oils. Right here. The clove, the whole clove. Keep it in your mouth. That gets rid of thrush or infection in the throat, yeast to build up for all up in here. It'll do it. But back to this. Oranges, when you get a pomelo, some people never want to go back to oranges again. But pomelos, P-O-M-E-L-O. E-L-O. But it's still packed with your vitamin C. These are just things I want you to, family, even if you juice this, you know what I do with these? This is good because I peel this. When I'm in Texas, cucumbers. When I'm in Texas, I peel these, and when I peel them, I shred them real thin. And I'll put it like a little, I'll make up a little concoction. I'll make a spinach artichoke type of thing. And I'll wrap them in there, and my grandbabies love it. They don't know the difference. But you shred it, make it real thin. It's wonderful. They'll never go to any other tree. Just like spaghetti. But you don't even have to cook it. Now, I wonder, last time I was here and I asked everyone, did you get your plantain? Now, you know your plantain, now, has it gotten this color yet?
Yes, I've been ate mine, it was good.
Fried it. Plantain, another thing for thrush. You can smash this up, but it has to be this color. When you get it, they're not this color. They're green. You can take a plantain and smash it up and give it to the babies. Let them eat it. They like bananas. And but you can give it to them, and it will help with all that underneath their throat. It'll help inside their throat because it's so packed with minerals. Remember we talked B12, B6, all the way right down the line. So I'm sorry. Okay. So you can do that, yes.
I've been holding on to this one for a minute. Somebody asked, can she speak about blackheads on on the face. What can I use to get them really hard ones out?
The blackheads, please drink a lot of water. You need water. That's what you're telling. That's what we're saying now. That's a form where your body is telling you we're trying to push these toxins out,
Right.
and we're not able to get it out. We need you to help us. So that's, if you listen to your body, this might sound strange, and I did not tell people when I was in my 30s that my body talks to me, because they in those days they said, "Girl, please." They already knew that I was into something already. But your body will talk to you if you listen. Your body will tell you what you need.
Like when you have a craving for certain things.
Yeah.
Dry.
Dry eyes. You know what you can do for the dry eyes? Your body will tell you that you need more water. More water. You need more water. Drink water. Put lemon in it. Put thyme in it. Drink dill. Put cucumbers in it. Put cucumbers in it. Put cucumbers and lemon. That's a really good one. I got that today. I guess.
Okay, so
Okay.
Pomelo, that's on the stores?
Yes. Pomelo. And let me know, and I'll just bring you some. And we'll go from there. We know. But I just learned that. I don't know what that means, but
I want to know what we do.
so you could use that. So another thing, family, real quick, I'm gonna pass this over. Before you leave, let my brother taste these. These are called chickpeas. Have you ever heard of chickpeas, dried chickpees? You all like them? What are you gonna be tasting them? Taste them right there. And these are little snacks, family, that you can take home. Oh, let them see what chickpeas, dried chickpeas look like. You can. Let me know. And you can something that you can put together. Now, family, while you're eating these different snacks, so that you don't have to stop and go to get sandwiches and stuff like that, processed foods and stuff like that. These are just. She says, "Mama, you know, hey, you know, don't get me." So these are just little snacks. Do you like them?
Yeah. What is it?
I think that they're chickpeas. Chickpeas, another thing, family. Chickpeas are good to get
This is what they make hummus.
Hummus. Yes, it's exactly what they do. They make hummus out of chickpeas. And guess what? It's good.
Like peanuts.
It doesn't taste like peanuts. It's wonderful for the body. Do you know what chickpeas, you like it? These are chickpeas. You are chickpeas. Look, I bring these things home. You know what my husband likes to do? He likes to put lime. The reason why I brought three things. The reason why I brought lime. We're the little packs of lime. I had a little pack of lime. He'll take a little pack of lime. I'm sorry, family. And he'll put it on. He'll spray it. There might be some more in that box, in that black bag. And he'll just put a little bit more lime on it, because he's one of citrus. He'll put a little lime on these. And then turn around and put a little cayenne pepper on it. Oh, boost your immune system. Lime is excellent. And you know what would happen? And then guess what? It affects boosts that immune system. That your now those yeast, the yeast won't like it, because they're gonna say, what are you doing to me? Why are you doing this to me? It hates it. It hates it, but it will work. This is a mixture, family. This is just some things that I'm just sending you all that really, really, really works. These are just mixed. Remember I said seeds are your friend. Mm-hmm. Seeds are your friend. This is just a pack of seeds. If you all want to, let me know. We'll work on that. But these are just seeds that you can carry. Talking about energy booster, talking about things that kill yeast, talking about stuff that will kill yeast. This seed for the prostate. She wants more money. For the prostate. And they're good for prostate. They're good for, this is sesame seeds, sunflower seeds. These are different seeds mixed. All these kind of seeds in here. And then I added some other little treats in there, but we'll talk about those things later. A little raisins and stuff like that. If you all want to taste that, you can. And these are things like, these are just healthy, natural snacks. And guess what? All of these things, family, will will push the yeast out of your body. I'm just giving you all some things that kicks that yeast right out. Because, now here's some more things. Do you know you can make squash? Squash seeds are excellent for yeast. It gets rid of the yeast, the squash, lentil, mung beans, cumin, black seed, what we say, black seed oil. But you know what you can do? If you would get some black seed, we keep black seed at home.
Black seed oil.
No, we keep black seed oil, yes. But I also put it, the seed itself. It's wonderful to taste. Some people say, I can't go with you on that. But to me, it tastes good. So you all have to taste. I'll bring some next time so you all can taste what black seed really tastes like, okay? But guess what? The black seed itself is good for yeast. It kills the yeast. So if you can imagine, and I'm not gonna be much longer, if you can imagine, if you take black seeds, mix it with cardio and then add thyme to it, oh man, yeast overloads, they have to go. But what pushes the yeast out? Now, some people say they use charcoal. They use charcoal to help with that, but the charcoal will get rid of will rid your body of minerals that it really needs if you do it too much. So what I recommend, this is what I recommend. Okay, my model. This is the last little bit of this. Like I said, I'm not recommending any particular brand, but this is bentonite clay. Bentonite, yes, your head. Bentonite clay is fantabulous. Now, once you get to the point whereby you want to push, you will try to push it out, and all these things happen. You said, I don't feel good. You said, Emma, get rid of this overgrowth. It's killing the overgrowth, but it feels like it's killing me too. And you say, I feel so bad. Okay, get some bentonite clay. When you get some bentonite clay, and what you're gonna do after you take the bentonite clay, take your water, go according to the instructions of the clay, and you will be feeling better in less than an hour because you're pushing the yeast out of your body. This is what it looks like.
But this is just for really yeast stuff, but also.
This is all. If you're having a bacteria infection and it's inside of your intestines, you're trying to clean your intestines, bentonite clay. You can use the dry form, but make sure you get the one that says that it's for human consumption.
You just pour it in water or something, you just take it.
You can pour it in water. Take like a tablespoon and put it in a glass of 8-ounce water, and you drink it. You can drink it before you go to bed or during the day, whatever, however you want to do it. But you're talking about it's going to allow you to go to the bathroom because it's pushing those toxins out. It's going to allow you to go to the bathroom. It won't make you go, but it allows you to go. So when you feel like you want to go, you got it. Or you just want to sit and you want to go in and you say, you know, I think I need to go to the bed. I think I want to go there. Okay, these are just some things that pushes yeast infection out of the body. Bentonite clay, it's a detoxer. It helps your intestines. It helps when you have a cold and you're saying, oh, that cold left me. I feel like I'm so bloated. Ladies, this will help during that time when you can't go to the bathroom that time of the month. And you say, I have to go to the bathroom, but I can't go. Bentonite clay. So acne, yes. Acne is a form of yeast. So ladies, let me give you an example. Today, before I left the house, I used a bentonite clay. It's called a healing clay. And I take it and I put a little apple cider vinegar, just a little bit in the and then I put a little water in it. Now, when you do that, you can put it on your face, ladies. And you let it set for about 5 minutes, or if you want, sometimes I just did it while I was doing all my projects and things I need to do today to distract me from wiping off. And then I let it sit. When it dries, ladies, it pulls the toxins out, and you can just wash your face. Men, if you have a little zit, whatever, you can use the bentonite clay, or you can use, I sometimes use, well, I haven't had a zit in a while, but, or I will use the clove oil. Take a little bit of clove oil, put it on that zit, let it set. You don't have to remove it. In less than an hour, it's drying up. It's pulling, you're gonna feel it pulling all the toxins out. This is what cloves would do. These are just a few things that cloves would do, okay? Just cloves itself are just a few things. Now, we want to say, some people say, Ema, can I do essential oils? Essential oils, you can do essential oils like what you smell now, and it gives you that boost of like energy, gives you that energy type of thing, and it makes you feel really good. And on top of that, it pulls those toxins out of your body. So you can use lemon, this is lemongrass. Remember, you all drank lemongrass. Yes, I gave you all some lemongrass. Well, the essential oil itself, you could use. And you could take that and you put a little bit on your towel and you wash your face with that. Just a couple drops in on your towel. And you can wash your face with that. Even you could, if you know you're gonna shampoo your hair, ladies or men, you can shampoo your hair with that. And the tingly, the freshness that you feel, only a couple drops now in your hair. Massage your scalp as you wash. This is fantabulous. It opens the pores. It does, we'll go into that later on. I'll tell you all the things that it does. Yes, sir.
I just started using African black soap.
African black soap is wonderful.
Yeah.
So, yes, I use that. I use the African black soap. I use it for my hair. But what I do is I add a little bit of lemongrass to this, and I put a little bit of rosemary to it. Sorry. And then, let's see, rosemary. And sometimes I'll do, and yeah, you can put in your water, you can put in your bath water. Now, when you use this, please, you don't overdo. I know some of my young people like to overdo. Just put about 2 or 3 drops in the bath water, you're good. Or if you, yes, or if you want to use, oh, another thing, family, you could take something as simple, easy as vanilla extract. Take some vanilla extract, drop it in your, when you're washing your face, just a couple drops in there. And it cleanses your face and it makes your face feel so good. And plus it pulls the toxins out of your body. When you say toxins, all these things are compounded. When you go outside, Hiroshima and all these radioactive places, they are still out there. You're right, love. They're still out there. And when you walk out there in it, all this stuff goes. And my husband's like, when are you coming to bed? I said, when I finish washing, getting myself together, getting all that, pull the toxins out of my body, I am on my way. Let me pull it out. But you can do that. It pulls all that radiation and stuff. You're just going to work it because it's there all the time. And how you can do it, you got to beat it. You got to keep working with it. You can beat it. You got to beat it. She just got excited. She's okay. And so you can use things like that. Okay, last little things that I was going to tell you. You can use this as a mouthwash. Let me tell you, for thrush, it's another thing. Fennel, those who like, when someone said, I can't sleep at night, I'll be right there. Don't go anywhere. Oh, she wants some more money. She wants some more money. You can take, if you're sleeping, someone asked me that just recently, and you're sleeping, you're having issues with the sleep. I wanted to say this before because they wanted me to say this online so everybody can hear it. When you sleep, there's something called ashwagandha. Ashwagandha is a buster, a monster buster. Ashwagandha is good. You can look this up. Wonderful for the body. Not only does it pull toxins out of the body, not only does it add minerals, and I'll tell you all about the minerals, the compounds of minerals that you really is going to come with that. You're going to see that. Chamomile, I just put chamomile. Chamomile will put you to sleep as well. It'll help you rest. But muscles, let me tell you all, muscles, my muscles, when I drank my ashwagandha, not only did it help me sleep, but it took the toxin. When I got up the next morning, I was feeling wonderful. My muscles, I could do all that good stuff. Wild cherry, I use it on my husband. He's my experiment. Wild cherry and a mixed little chamomile with it. That 70-some-year-old man rest and go to sleep. And when he gets back up, no pain in his joints or muscles. Excellent. Fennel, as we said before, excellent for women, for your body. Now, you can also do all these other things when you're trying to sleep and you have that cramping going on and all that. These other things work too. Tell you women that works. And the fennel, when you do the seeds, thank you. Okay. And when you do the seeds, fennel seeds, take about 5 and put them and chew them. I love that face. Chew the seeds. And the seeds will perk her up. She won't have that irritation. She won't be grumpy. None of that. Okay, family? Do that. That's going to help her rest. You can take this and use it as a mouthwash. Something that is very good is called Yuba Ursi. When you're having cramps, your muscles during that time of the month, you have UTI, you might have UTI, all of those things called Yuba Ursi. I'll tell you, years ago when I first got married, this is what is it, personal, what is it they say?
Post-traumatic stress
Yeah.
syndrome.
Yes. And you have all these issues going on with the body. Now, this is something personal. I'm going all the way to personal stuff. You all please forgive me. But I think it's necessary. Had all those issues going on. And they said I had UTI, whatever. Yuba Ursi took 3 days. 3 days. Yuba Ursi, UVA, URSI, Yuba Ursi will clear it up like nothing. It is your friend. Yuba Ursi, you want to look that up. So family, don't forget your romaine lettuce, arugula, real quick, you can make a squash taste like custard. Did you know that?
Tastes like custard?
I make it just like squash. I make my custard. My grandchildren crave it when I get there. I make it taste like a custard. I'll tell you.
Wow.
Squash will get rid of the thrush. And they had those issues going on at one time, and I just gave them a little bit, made a squash, and it tastes just like custard. I made it, and they loved it. And they, within a couple of days, gone and check. Squash will do that for you. Kale will do that for you. Romaine lettuce. Over Ursi. Yes.
So when you're doing a salad, mostly romaine,
arugula, you want to do a little bit of kale. You want to do a little bit of chickweed because they come in chickweed. You can do different things like that in your salad.
Now, let me ask you this, because there's different types of kale.
Exactly.
What's the best, because I grow curly kale and the dino kale. Which is the best? Because I know it's other kind of kales too, but what's the better kale?
I like them both, but the curly is the best, I think. Well, no, not really.
Because I was told that the dino kale has a lot more nutrients, the bluish green.
The bluish green does.
Yeah.
The bluish green. It's tougher.
Yeah, it's
tougher, but it's good that you're chewing it because it's roughish.
Yeah.
And so some people say the dino is better, but I mix it.
Right.
So I mix mine, so I have it all.
Yeah.
But you're right, the dino is better.
Yeah,
Because
I grow them both. I like the dino better. Because the curly, it tends to wither
away a little faster.
quicker.
Mm-hmm. The dino's better, but I do both. But the dino's better because it makes you chew. It's more better. It has the more melanin in it.
Yeah.
And melanin is just
pretty too.
And it's gorgeous.
When it grows.
It's gorgeous.
Like bluish green.
Bluish green look, and it's tougher.
And it grows. Big leaves.
Will you remember the end of this year?
Yeah. Now before I spinach, I brought that too. I got that going. Wow.
When you get spinach, family,
Yeah.
when you get spinach,
In my yard.
get all kind of spinach. When you get the spinach, get the all kind. Because in the summertime, I'm sorry, I get tongue up because I get kind of excited. I'm sorry. But when you get greens, get all kind. Mix it in, because when I get it, I mix it in and then I freeze it, right? I wash it. So when I'm ready for it, I have it. Now this is the deal. When you wash and you put it in the freezer, because I like to do that, I can cut it up and I slice it real thin and I saute it. I don't boil mine because I like to keep the nutrients in. And I'll saute it. And I'll saute it with onions, garlic, green peppers, and then I'll put it a little bit of, and I'll do those the different green. I get all kind of greens and mix it in, and then I'll top it off with, yes sir.
You know what I'm gonna say?
I know, guys.
How much?
Right.
I know. And then don't forget the arugula. Don't you grow arugula too? Don't forget the arugula, family. And then you saute it. And then after with the garlic, and don't forget the leeks this year, because leeks, men are your friends. Oh, leeks are your friends.
Yeah, I do those. I did some curry chicken, and I did some leeks. So I do the green onion, the scallions, when I get the leeks sweet of the bit.
Yes, they are. You may, and don't forget the scallions. Because remember the scripture talks about when they left out of Egypt, they were saying that they missed the leeks. They missed the leeks. They missed that leeks. Remember that? The leeks, they missed it. And they missed the garlic and all that. So when you do that, anyway, chop it, and then saute it, and then cover it with a little bit of quinoa.
Okay.
And if you got it, and then put your little quinoa, and then after you do that, and then put a little cayenne pepper over top of it, and top it off with a little bit of lemon or lime. Ooh, it'll make you happy. Make you real happy. But guess what? All these things are good for yeast overgrowth. All these things are good for the yeast overgrowth. We grow red clover too. We grow red clover. I'm gonna bring you on. Red raspberries. I have some in the backyard. I'll bring you on some red raspberry leaves. Okay. Red raspberry leaves are good when you make a tea out of it. Guess what? You can make a tea out of it. And one of the things that red raspberry will help you do, and that is with your yeast overgrowth too. Red raspberry will help you it will help. Yes, I came today specifically to tell you guys about Candida and how it does not have to overtake you. It does not have to overtake you like it tries to. And then some of the other things that you guys can do with this. This is your friend. Family, aloe vera juice, aloe vera gel will push it out if you're having a bowel obstruction. Aloe vera juice will help as well. So with this, I hope I didn't overstrain you guys. I hope I didn't overstress you with all the information that we have. And I just wanted you all to know, but here's the deal. When you're using, before I go, when you're using different things like red raspberry, red clover, when you're using Pod Arco, if you're gonna use it, do 10 days on, 10 days off. 10 days on, 10 days off. So that it doesn't cause the body. You want some more? Okay, mommy. She loves chickpeas. So that your body will have time to rest. Because when you're using these things, You want to give your body time to rest and then go back at it again. Rest and then hit it again. Rest and hit it again. Okay? You all, and I wanted you all to take pictures. Oh, black walnut hulls. You may not like.
They ain't gonna make us do that. If they make us do that,
No.
way, I don't know.
No. But it is black walnut hulls. You get it as a powder. It is a booster. I mean, when I was coming, we said, I don't know whether it's technologically correct or not, body booster, where it makes you want to, on the inside, your body says, why have you not given me this before?
Yeah.
It will take toxins out of your body at a different level. Now you gotta be careful with this. This black walnut hull.
You take too much out of it.
So that's a detox.
That's a detoxer. It is. And it will cleanse your body like mad. And we're gonna be talking about that really soon, about that. These are just some things that are detoxers, things that would boost your immune system. We're always talking about ways of boosting your immune system. We're always talking about how to give you that energy, boost your energy, make you feel like you're healthy, like you're Superman. We are actually the original Superman and women. We really are. We really are. These are some things that I'm just throwing out there for you guys. You all, and remember this, that Ezekiel 38:4. Can someone read that for me, please, at the latter part of my
Ecclesiastes.
Sirach.
38:4.
Yes. Can someone read that for me, please? And I should have shipped those seeds up more.
Yeah, 38:4.
Ecclesiastes.
Yes.
Okay.
Read it, please.
Okay. God has created medicines out of the earth, and he that is wise will not abhor them.
Amen. Those are for us.
Medicines of the earth.
Medicines of the earth. I love you guys. Blessings, blessings, blessings on the rest of your week. And you make me proud, Superman.
All right.